Futures back in positive territory here this morning, actually pushing back towards session highs as we speak, about 0.5% for both the NASDAQ and the S&P. To start things off, what's going to be, of course, a holiday-shortened week with the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday coming up on Thursday, we are going to have some construction in studio for those 3 days going into the weekend, so we'll touch on that, some housekeeping coming up. We'll touch on that a little bit later in the show. A ton to have a look at this morning, a ton to talk about as far as what is moving around. I was just checking out, that's the cues, obviously, but I was just checking out the dollar downside in a pretty big way here. Yields across the board, all negative. If you remember, at the end of last week, we got to 4.5 on the 10-year. We're back to about 4.35. Or in and around that area this morning. So yields getting crushed here, dollar back downside. Crypto still kind of hanging out, no 100,000 test yet, but hey, there's no rush. It's a holiday week. People have other things to do. It seems like, I don't know your thought on this, but it seems like Black Friday sales in general just keep getting pushed out further and further and further and further away from actually being on Black Friday. I mean, I remember when this first came north of the border and we started seeing those Black Friday sales, it was actually on Black Friday. Now it's like a 2-week event.
I don't know about you, but I started getting emails like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Especially from Amazon. Amazon's really hitting it hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that Black Friday, obviously, in focus. Lots to talk about. To build on your point, though, with respect to the yields, we were watching yields continue to rise after the election as people were predicting more growth as a result of the Trump presidency, and as a result of that, more inflation. So yields were bumping up. Lots to talk about today, Brendo. Tesla in focus for a couple of reasons. Palantir and Snow getting the nod today from Wedbush. Good look for them. SMCI continues to rise, and Amazon's got that new Trainium CPU or GPU that they really want to pound the desk on.
Yeah, session highs right now for Amazon. We saw their, maybe the strongest of tech right now here in the pre-market. Meanwhile, Macy's not so much, although we are trying here to get back above 16 bucks at least, still down 1.6. They said, oops, we messed up. We can't report today, so they'll get back to us on their earnings, I guess, is the story from Macy's. So we'll see. An accounting error, quote unquote, accounting error is the reason for this delay. So we'll have a look at Macy's, but yeah, it looks actually okay. I mean, some buy-side volume coming in here. Typically not something you want to hear. More retail earnings to come later in the week as well. Typically a quiet week ahead of the holiday as we get closer and closer to that Thursday U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. Just reading, Dr. Disrespect joins Rumble officially. There was a streamer, for anyone who was wondering. There was rumblings of this last week, but yeah, that's just popping up in front of me here. I don't know if Rumble's moving on that or not.
Oh, yeah, have a look over here on RUM. It's one of the plays that we keep an eye on, especially when there's anything Donald Trump related. Now, up 1/3% here, Brendo, at 6.5, so we'll have to see how this one trades after the bell. But if I can mention one quick one, I know the boys are going to be talking about this, especially Neil. Don't I do it? This one, that's an eye-watering drop, Brendo. 86% down here in the pre-market for Cassava Sciences. They did not meet their endpoints for the Alzheimer's studies.
Yeah, unfortunately, a continued story there for SAVA. I mean, that company's been through the ringer with this, from fraud allegations to actually, being proven that they were lying on some of these reports. So. Yeah, I mean, big, huge drop down, big, huge pop back up here for MSTR. More crypto or more Bitcoin being added to the MicroStrategy coffer to the tune of $5.4 billion over the past week, according to a filing. So back to 440 here for MicroStrategy as this move in crypto continues. Obi's in for Sean this morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, everybody. And I'm still going to use the line that I was preparing for Cassava Sciences, that I know Sharif, he knows I'm going to have something for it. So 86% off sale for Cassava Sciences shares this Black Friday. And this is what's crazy about this. And Obi and I were just actually going through the thread. Farmer Boy, Martin Shkreli had this last week. And he was sort of all over how these guys were going to miss. Yeah. And this was not going to go well. Obviously, even it's not fun for anybody that's a shareholder. It's a huge risk. It's going to be short sale restricted. Obviously, it's going to be short sale restricted. There's no miracle that can have it not open. more than 10% down. So it's going to be wild. I've already paid for locates on this one. We won't be locked and loaded, ready to go. That said, SSR bounces can be fun. When they get this low, sometimes just one relief rally, it can be in play. And keep in mind on Sava, you can't halt in the pre-market. This could easily halt in the first few minutes because it's not going to take too much of a move to do so. So there's a lot to look at. And Randy is in the house.
Thank you.
No banana, although I got my own. I'm good to go. But thank you very much, Randy. Get that vitamin C in there. That's what we need. You see in this chart?
Thank you. Thank you.
It's not good.
Ow.
It's not good.
Bit of an ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Slight ouch.
Not XOM.
I mean,
What?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens when a biotech pretty much misses its primary endpoint.
Yeah.
right
Alzheimer's
there, so-
phase 3 misses their endpoint, and that's what can happen. But everyone knows those risks when you're in these kind of stocks, right?
Yeah. I was reading some of what you
Thanks,
said his name was Martin. His post, and I was like, why didn't I? He posted last Thursday.
Yep.
He apparently wrote a 38-page paper on this, and I was like, wow, that's wild. I did read that post. Shout out to Wayne for sending that to me this morning, and I was like, oh boy, we should have known about this last week. He literally said it's science. It's like it is impossible for this drug to treat Alzheimer's, and I was giving I was giving it a skim. Apparently, the drug has trouble just getting to the brain. That might be an issue for treating Alzheimer's.
A little bit.
Just a skosh.
Yeah.
Right? And a 4-hour half-life as well. Anyways, I wish I read the paper last
Say a
week.
skosh.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. That's a word we use.
Adara likes that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So it's just like, okay, so clearly people knew from before. I'm curious to know how much they've positioned in to Sava from beforehand. 85%. Down.
Well, if
and
you
it's still
see,
ticking lower.
you see on Friday, I mean, you could see them, like, look at the move on Friday. Somebody knew something, you think? I mean, look at the rollover. Like, right away at 9:30, single bar sell, another bar, like, it was 2 15-minute candles in there, and you're dropping, what was that, like, just over 10%, like 12% there, and then little pop and fade. So, like, let's be real. Like, it's a heavily shorted stock. I want to say, I saw in the chat there, someone just posted 44%, but I'll double check what our sources say on Cassava Sciences. Yeah, we have 43%. So it's always been a heavily shorted name, and it was dumping on Friday. What's crazy about it, though, I mean, obviously in a situation like this, is it didn't lose the bid on Friday. Like, it essentially flushed at the open and then proceeded to go mostly sideways throughout the afternoon. So interesting that it didn't lose the bid if somebody really did know. But it's nasty. You really can't avoid watching this one today. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a relief rally, though. That's usually the trade we look for on a situation like this where it's down so far.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if people already knew from before and they've positioned themselves well enough, I think the cover on the news is the same trade here. So the news finally comes out down 85%. Is it going to go to zero today? Is it going to halt? We have no idea. But you were talking about this right before we started. Probability of halts off the open.
Very high.
I think it's definitely there. Cassava Sciences, if you guys know, this ticker over the past few years, it's definitely a repeat offender. It has a lot of volatility when volume does come in. And yeah, no, this name has been sitting short for quite a while. Trading at 370s should be interesting right off of the open. Definitely one of my top 5 on the day today.
All right, a few other things just popping up in front of me. Here's one of them. Snowflake right now, 4%, just took out session highs, back above 174. Upgrade today for SNOW, looks pretty good right now. Some volume coming back into that one. Also, here is Robinhood testing pre-market highs. Yes, 7% on an upgrade here for Robinhood. Looking for another 50% upside here. I mean, crypto has benefited, Robinhood shares. That's a daily chart over on this side. So if you go back to, what is this, November 1st, actually, 23 up to $40 for Robinhood.
Ridiculous. And I was telling Neil about this before we got on the air. I was just like, this thing is a rocket ship. Look, they stand to benefit a lot from what's perceived to be deregulation for the financial industry, in addition, obviously, to the crypto tailwind that they're dealing with right now. And they reported higher than ever crypto volume, Brendo, on their exchanges. So good look, 7% really going here.
Yeah, when it was COVID days, it was more about the equity side of the trade for Robinhood. Robinhood, and that was kind of what put them on the map. But good to see that they're getting more attention. You can tell by the equity here as well, the volume on the equity side just continuing to move back higher. I mean, there's a ton of small caps moving around this morning as well. RGTI, QMMM. WLDS, QUBT among some of the lower price movers this morning. Mara on this list once again this morning up 5% here, continuing its march back to the high side as well. Coinbase, I mean anything crypto related, positive territory. Here's 2.5% again, guys, for Coin to start things off as well.
Yeah, I think this is a pick your poison type of moment here for some of these crypto adjacent names. And technically speaking, all the setups are all going to look more or less the same. Whether it's Robinhood, whether it's SoFi, you can go to the miners like Mara. I mean, Robinhood's kind of gone already, so I think that's what makes it a little bit more troubling. I don't know, troubling's not the right word, but pull back, consolidate over prior high and an upward trend is essentially what this already did. And it's now booming $1 past that previous resistance turning into support level. So when I look at it, it's not necessarily as appealing as I would like. Now, anyone that watched our video over the weekend, I had a very similar look for SoFi. And distinction without a difference, basically, with this chart. More or less the same thing. It's also gapped up. Now, like this 1575, sometimes I think profit taking come back in. We didn't actually break 100,000, so I wouldn't be surprised if we'd got dip buys into prior highs. I do like SoFi in this 1575 range. And then the other one worth looking at here is the miner Mara. This did pull back into 26.5. Now, if you're looking at these as a group, I think with Mara, you probably have to care at least a little bit more about what's going on with spot prices. But they're all the same thing. Distinct upward trend, pulling back into prior highs. The difference that Mara has going with it is simply it's above a big resistance level on the daily. Whereas you have, like SoFi or Robinhood or a host of other names that are just making fresh tops, high after high. Mara's actually just now pulling above this July high. So I think this 27 support level or resistance into support should carry a little bit more weight today here in MARA. Although I see Obi's already dipped into the Sava waters.
Yeah.
How are they doing?
They're not too bad, man. Crypto definitely on watch, but yeah, already kind of started with the Sava. We came down to 3/2 and held a little bit there, looking. Well, initially I saw that there was a reserve at fours. At $4, and then we popped above it, went to 4 and teens, and then we flushed down with some aggressive selling coming in, but then we held 3/2, so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take the break of this trend. You guys know I like the reversion a little bit there, so we're breaking back above $4. Curious to know which way we're going to halt coming off of the open there. 85%, no joke on this one, and you can see market tailwind as well a little bit coming in with both the ES and the NASDAQ pushing for some fresh highs. We're trading above that 6,000 here on the ES.
Boom.
Crypto is very near that very near that 100K mark. So we're gonna be watching that today, and sympathy names as well. IBIT, we got Mara, we got Riot, and we have MSTR, of course. Oh boy, yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity, but again, shortened week today, gonna be patient. Be patient.
All right, let's bring in Michael Noss here to kick things off on a Monday and talk. Hey, guess what? Crypto.
Oh, shock.
Mr. Noss has thoughts on what we should be looking at on the crypto side of things, but it has nothing to do with Bitcoin, I noticed. Michael Noss, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah, I'm going down the cap scale. I think we talked about small cap stocks. Maybe it's time to talk about small cap cryptos.
Yeah, sure. Let's dive into it. I mean, this is a specific idea that you're looking at here on a higher time frame. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is something I've been noticing for a while now when it comes to these cryptos that are coming back from the dead, these altcoins, I think is probably the nicest way to call them. Some people can call them something else, but it's a simple anchored VWAP strategy. So it's something that, I know you guys talk to Brian Shannon as well all the time, who's a mentor of mine and a friend. And it's something I've been noticing going back over a year now, where if the crypto is going to come back from the dead, first, it makes sense that it's going to have to retake its anchored VWAP from all-time highs. So this is a chart of Solana. Some of these I've used a line chart just to make them really, really clean. The purple line is always the anchored VWAP. So the idea is simple, and we talk about this in stocks as well. An anchored VWAP simply represents what the average market participant's price is for any given stock, in this case, any given crypto. So for example, if you look at Solana, yes, it would have been awesome to say, yeah, I bought it at the bottom, which was like $10, and now it's a couple hundred. That would have been fantastic. But we all know in reality, we can't really do that. So trying to find a line in the sand, especially when you have all of these cryptos that, are coming back from the dead, they seem kind of over and over and over again, and trying to figure out the ones that are worthwhile participating in and the ones that aren't, and when, is something that I've been playing a little bit more with and actually having a lot of fun. So this is something that I've noticed on Solana that, hey, say you missed the whole bottom bit, you missed the whole recovery, and you simply said, okay, if we break what the average market participant's price is from all-time highs, basically saying if you started to buy Solana at the absolute worst time possible, what would my average price be? When we get through that price, the idea is that there's a bit of a sentiment flip there. People are now happy, pretty much everybody, unless you just bought the all-time high once and didn't average in. Everybody's happy, things are reversing a little bit. That could be a good area to take a look at a smaller time frame, or to get involved in if we can hold above that line. And you can see on Solana, we broke through, never looked back. Next chart is Ethereum. This one, we're still struggling in Ethereum, massive relative weakness. But if you look at it here, you can see the amount of times that it wouldn't have worked and how quickly it wouldn't have worked. We saw a couple times where we broke through the anchored VWAP from all-time highs, and then we quickly traded under them. So if we can't hold that zone, then it's probably time to go. So you probably would have taken 2, maybe 3 shots of this one before it would have actually worked, and you could have gotten in around the 2000 area, and if you got out at 4,000, who knows, but that's still a double. And we're still hanging around 3,000 now on this one. And even, again, to say it nicely, these altcoins, which is the next chart, which is Dogecoin, say you miss the whole election Doge department of whatever they're doing, and you just use the same strategy. I am only going to get involved in Doge when we break cleanly through that anchored VWAP from an all-time high. That was like 25 cents on Doge. So still, again, a great little move. So this is, after seeing this so many times, this has become my game plan for some of these altcoins. It's a game that I'm playing as long as it's going to work. Like any trading strategy, it could work for a period of time and then stop. But while we're in this animal spirits area where it comes to cryptocurrencies, and like a coin called Chill Guy is doing amazing, and Fart Coin and whatever it is that they're up to, you might as well participate. So I've got some ideas, but I just want to caveat, right? These are incredibly speculative assets. I don't think I have to say that to your audience, but these are not even companies that we're taking a bet on. It's just which coin is going to be the coin du jour. I know a lot of these, like a lot of the Web3 things and the gaming ones, yes, they have underlying things that they're doing, and they may turn into something, but you just got to understand that these coins are trading vehicles. I treat them like a profitless tech stocks that could come and they could go tomorrow. Again, just make sure you're trading them accordingly. You've got a game plan. When you're getting out. You're not betting the farm or doing anything like that. These are very, very risky assets. So I just want to say that just so that everybody knows. So I ran a scan, and my scan was very simple. To say, I want to find coins that are very close to that anchored VWAP from all-time highs. And if we can get movements through on these, I'm going to participate very small with tight stop losses and see if I can get some of this fun that's going on in the crypto space. So another caveat, I don't know what any of these coins do. I'm just trading these technically. I don't think it really matters, because what does a Dogecoin do? What does a Shiba Inu do, right? It's we're just playing these as momentum plays, same as if you were day trading or anything else. So this first one, I scanned both the Coinbase directory, and I scanned the Kraken directory, just because there's so many coins to choose from when it comes to pump.fund and Uniswap and PancakeSwap and all these things. But those are the coins that I'm looking for. So if you're on Coinbase or you're on Kraken, you should be able to find these as well. So this first one is just called Alice coin. Nice looking pattern, nice looking kind of rounded base. It stopped going down July of last year. July of this year, actually. So for about a year, we stopped going down. This is a fairly new coin in the space. $1.50 is that all-time high anchored VWAP. So again, the idea is if you can get through that and we get momentum after that, I'm going to look to get involved. If we close any significant amount back under this anchored VWAP, I'm going to go. Time to go. GASMY coin. Again, I don't know. This is 2.5 cents a coin. The all-time high is 5 cents a coin. So again, I think you guys can tell that these are wacky and how serious I'm going to be taking these for any sort of long-term hold. But it's the same kind of pattern. We're seeing this pattern over and over and over again. We have this all-time high, things start to collapse. It spends some time under that. As it gets back through these anchored VWAPs, there seems to be a bit of a play to take here. So that's 2.5 cents a share. Absolute worst case, I'm out 2 cents a share. If it gets to all-time highs, that's 5 cents a share. Last but not least is True Coin, TRU coin. And this one is actually not quite there yet. So this is just more on watch. I've got an alert set at that anchored VWAP. If it gets through, which is about 10 cents a coin, 7.5 cents. So you're risking about 2.5 cents a coin. That's the low. And then all-time highs, you're talking 25, 30 cents a coin. So the reason I wanted to point out those highs and roughly where my stop is going to be is just to show the reason that I'm interested in these is the asymmetric risk reward. If any of these go like we saw with Ripple or Solana or any of these names, then you can get these really quick moves. But I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but I just want to say it again. These aren't anything. These are just coins that are kind of these are coins that exist, right? These are coins that people are trading. They have liquidity to them. I don't know what they do. They probably don't do anything. So again, just make sure you're trading these things accordingly, right? We're not buying Microsoft here that has an underlying business. We're buying Alice coin or something like that.
On or in a holiday week, we typically start to see things that people don't necessarily pay attention to start to move and do crazy things. So might be something as far as trade ideas you mentioned for the next couple of days. Great stuff. Mr. Noss, back with Neil after the close tonight on the recap. Good to see you.
I'll talk to you then.
And looking forward to it, Michael. Thank you once again. And I think that's sort of the thing, like as Michael said, trading vehicles. Like treat them as trading vehicles. There's opportunities everywhere. Like whether you believe in the use case or not, if your time frame is short enough, then certainly if you're just looking to make a buck at the end of the day, entry, exit, stick to the plan of action. Like we were just talking, like literally, Obi and I about Ford. And you can't look, I don't think Ford's all that good, but at the end of the day, when I look at the daily chart on something like Ford here and crazy on Friday, I'll show you what happened on Friday with this stock. I mean, look at the stock. $11.40 since August, then September, and then same high in October. Like it's just chilling out, $11.40 over and over and over again. You had one failed break on their report, and then on Friday, where does it go? Right to that level, $11.38, and then pulls right back in. I mean, come on. If you can get above $11.40, like what do you expect? Like this one should be able to go here if you can get past that $11.40 level. GM's already going, but this has to be on the radar. That's Sava. It's gonzo now. 420 there, Obi. Yeah. It's hard to tell when it's down 84%. But that's actually already bounced 10% plus off of those lows. I think the bottom I have at 350. I don't know if you see the same thing, but it'll be hard to tell because the scaling on this will be whack pretty much all morning long. But Sava's catching a bit. I'm more interested after the open because I think it's going to halt off the open, but perhaps still half an hour to go.
Yeah, exactly. We still got some time. We're catching a bit of a bid. Could halt up, could halt down. I have gone a little dabble in the long, accepted my risk. I'm like, all right, well, realistically, long or short, I think the risk for the long is a lot more controlled rather than the short. Again, it's come a long way, and I just looked at the short float as well, and I was like, oh boy, 45% staying float. sitting short is the float. Yeah, so it should be interesting off of the open. And like I said, if people already knew from last week that it is impossible, scientifically impossible for this drug to be successful, I wonder how much risk you would put on for the short. That's just a question that I'm asking. I have no idea. That's pure opinion, speculation, whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is we got some reserves that held 3/2 and we're pushing back above 4 right now. And I'm going to try to do my best in terms of execution off of the open. But we shall see what price action that brings. Something good to note is that we have tailwind. Look at this market as well. Seems like the market might have a 45% short float. No, I'm joking. With the way it's running, look at these two 15-minute candles right now, all the way from 20,009 all the way to 20,009 all the way to 21 here on the Nasdaq. So almost a 100-point run up in the past 30 minutes or so here, and we're continuing to push higher. Same thing with the ES. So should be an interesting open. But yeah, let's see what we have in store. Let us know also in the chat. Are you guys trading? Again, I think Michael Noss pointed out some good vehicles for the crypto move. If and when we do push past that 100K mark, I think we can be expecting some moves across the board. So crypto names are definitely on watch. Yeah, we were about what 150 points or 250 points away from 100,000 were those all-time highs last week.
Spent the whole weekend there.
Yeah, we pulled back. I think it's very anticipated. So might have some trouble getting through it. But yeah, a lot of people talking about maybe they want to take some profits at that 100K mark.
There was certainly some liquidations over the weekend. So like that one pullback to 96 was pretty hefty. But look, just because you're consolidating on BTC doesn't mean there aren't going to be runners. But let's also check out some upgrades and downgrades with Adara.
Robinhood on quite the run here, up about 6%, getting a Morgan Stanley upgrade here in a $55 price target. P&G here with an upgrade from D.A. Davidson to keep Procter & Gamble on watch. Snowflake getting a price target increase by Wedbush. This is also a day 3 earnings play, and it's worth noting Wedbush also gave positive notes on some other names in the software and AI space, including Palantir, Elastic, and CRM. So that's 3 other names to keep an eye on here as well. Last but not least, on the upgrade side of things, ARM with the UBS upgrade. Now, Baidu kicking off the downgrades here, getting a little bit sold off here with a downgrade from Susquehanna. NIO also in that Chinese ADR space, getting a downgrade and a $3.90 price target from Goldman Sachs. Block up on the day right now so far, but with a downgrade from BMO Capital Markets and CIBC downgrading Barrick Gold, guys. Pretty interesting list.
Yeah, Snow with that blowout earnings last week. And, blowout move on earnings, I should say. Let's be real. They actually still lost money, unless you go on an adjusted basis. But really, they didn't hold on to the highs on Friday. On Friday, Snowflake actually pulled back and consolidated around 166. Does look like it is primed for a bit of a 175 takeout here, up that 3.5 points. And again, just another name which is breaking out on the daily chart. So over 175, I kind of like. That said, I think we're going to talk a little bit about Palantir on the watch list. And between the two, I actually am preferring Palantir today, at least in terms of the trade. It's just the way that it's setting up here for potential breakout. Now that wick, ignore this little wick in here, that's nonsense. That prior high is 66.5. So as long as we're out and about in this range above 66.5, we're buying dips and then letting it rip on Palantir. Snowflake looks good, don't get me wrong. I like that chart. I'm in the stock recently as a swing, but Palantir here at that 66.5 dips right into it, and we're looking longs on Palantir. At least that's my plan of action. If I trade one of the two, it's going to be PLTR.
Yeah, off of that list in terms of upgrades, I really like that PG trade. I've been watching this one for a couple of weeks now. A bit of a run up after this strong flush that we had on some relative volume that got us all the way down to 159s. This thing's been trending up since. And again, I had some eyes on it on Friday with this aggressive strength. Now a lot of names had some of this strength coming into Friday, but yeah, it didn't really pull back that aggressively. It came into VWAP right there into the close, and as of right now, we're trading above prior day's highs right there. So maybe looking for a bit of that trend on PG with that upgrade as well, giving us some decent tailwind. It's doing some relative volume in the pre-market as well, over 2.5 times relative volume in the pre-market. Let's see if we get that nice little continuation on this upgrade coming into today. Strong week last week as well. Looking for more of the same coming into this shortened week today.
59.87, guys. That's where we closed out on Friday on the ES December contract. Look at this. We're gapping decidedly above. There's no pre-market or a movement overnight in this price area here. So 59.87, we open up above 6,000. Already well above that with the overnight high already 60.32. Look at this. Back from middle or early November, that is the all-time high on the ES December contract, 60,050. We're looking at that area as resistance today, and we'll look at 6,000 possibly as support.
If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab the watch list. Comes out every single morning right to your inbox before we come on at 8:30. Has everything that's moving in the pre-market and why in one nice, neat package. All you need, again, is your email. Link is in the description below. Let's kick things off here with Tesla. What a week it was. What a week for the overall market it was last week. So volatile, first of all, but we end the week with a huge move here going into the weekend to the upside for Tesla, 2.5%. On top of that, we're trying to hold 360 here back towards session highs. Keep in mind the market overall still just hanging out about 0.5%.
All right, so a couple of headlines here, Brendo, for Tesla. So Tesla really going to town here with their robo-taxi. They're hiring a fleet of engineers. They're called to work on what they call teleoperation systems, which essentially are going to be for the robo-taxis and the Optimus. They're going to be looking to remotely control these devices using VR headsets and the like, and they really want systems with super low latency so that they can make adjustments in real time. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. So that's a headline. That's a good headline. Separately over here, Tesla and Rivian looking at ending their lawsuit together. There was a suit between them for employee poaching and trade secret theft related to the battery. So it looks like Rivian's going to go ahead with an entirely different type of battery. So looking like this might end on a conditional settlement here, Brendo, for a December 24th dismissal. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, at very least it's two, if not the strongest right now. I mean, Palantir is up a little bit more. I mean, we're not really, considering Palantir and Tesla in the same group, but Tesla looking great here to kick things off, guys.
Yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. I just want to remind everybody, though, like if you were trading, and everybody that was watching on Friday, you probably got the sense of this, Tesla broke out pre-market highs. It was a similar look to this. Like, look at the move up, broke out pre-market highs at the open, only then to completely reverse the move. Like, it got to 344 and pulled back like $6. It really set up the inevitable breakout trade at 345 later on in the session. It was the 10:30 trade. So you had to be very patient to get that big, massive breakout, or just look for the confirmation that it was going to start trending back up, and you could play it off maybe VWAP here in the low 340s. So that's a level of patience I want to have with Tesla. So Tesla again, yeah, I'm looking long. 52-week highs, sign me up. Pre-market low sits here above that previous 358 top. So I think you're all well and good. I mean, sorry, 358 top on the daily, but 357 here on Friday. So as long as we hold on to that, I'm looking long. But I've got to be patient for this setup. It trended down for the first 20 minutes of the session on Friday, and I'm perfectly willing for it to do that again. Be ready to pounce if it can bounce off the prior high. Willing to join back above VWAP. And ultimately, if it sets up a breakout like this, then you just got to be ready to go ahead and take it, right? Like this, it showed you this setup for the $10 move on Friday. You just had to be patient. So I want to look longs. Obviously, that prior high is going to be that dip support. If we're carrying too far underneath there, I probably step away. But patience with Tesla. I mean, at the open, it's going to be hard not to look at Sava, but I want Tesla to calm down. If it starts dropping, I'm not going to just sit on the bid looking to get run over.
Yeah, I think that prior high is definitely something to watch out for. We saw the strength that came in, that aggressive bid. I know Neil definitely had this one, 345 all the way to 355s and some change, and then grinding on top of a hold of that 350 pretty much for the rest of the day there after that strength does come in. And today we're gapping up, trading much above that, and that prior high was 358 if I remember correctly. That's the intraday high right there from last Monday. November 11th, right there, and that after hours high coming in at 362.80. So we haven't quite reached there in the pre-market just yet, but we are holding above that 358. So that's I'm looking for some of those prices to potentially come in. Let's see. Again, if the bid is real, I'm going to ask that same question. If the bid is real and we do pull back, where can it potentially catch? I like this base right here at that 350, 170s, 352-ish area right here. This consolidation high and low is basically what I'll be watching for, as that's where we held pretty much for multiple hours on Friday, and then some of these prior highs as well from last week. Could be interesting if we do come in, and if we blast right through this high, I'll have to look even further back, so we can go. Let's go up to like a 3 hour. Just quickly look at some levels here from prior on Tesla. All the way back. How far back do we have to go to get to these prices? It seems like, let me just go to the weekly if it's not going to give me that right here. So we haven't seen these prices since I guess mid 2022 and 2021 as well, if we continue to push a little bit higher. So I'd have to go back a little bit further and look for support and resistances from there, as we are breaking out through multi-year levels here on Tesla. So yeah, if that 362, 363 area goes, I think that we'd have a little bit more room for the upside there. Again, we've been trending off of this base, this breakout, this larger time frame that we keep talking about right here. This one, right? I know there's a lot of lines right there.
Oh boy!
But this is the main one right here, where we've pulled back, held, and now we're pushing up higher. If you guys know Tesla, we've done this multiple times over the years. A bit of a stair-step squeeze continuation, multi-year play on Tesla happening in front of our eyes.
All right, let's go back to crypto. If you're with us in the first half an hour here, we touched on a few of these, but worth revisiting is, let's jump over here first. There's Bitcoin. That's a daily chart just still hanging out. That's 100,000 just sitting here staring at this wall above us, wondering what will happen next. I was just saying to Sharif off camera there, like, this for sure happens when no one's watching. During the holiday, no one will be around, maybe on the weekend, something like that. We'll see what happens. But equities benefiting here this morning, 2% as we mentioned here for coin.
No doubt about it. I'm going to have to keep an alert out there when we're on holidays to see if it's moving. All right, so let's talk about the spot ETFs, because that's what most of us are involved in here. 7 consecutive weeks of net inflows into these spot Bitcoin ETFs for a total of $3.13 billion in net inflows. Who takes the cake? BlackRock, Fidelity, Grayscale, they saw the highest. Year-to-date net inflows since inception, $37 billion, and now assets under management, Brendo, for these crypto-related products, and eye-watering $153 billion. And we're not even above 100,000 yet.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit off camera about MicroStrategy too. 56,700 and change is their average price.
Wow.
Unreal.
Double your
Hood here as well. We mentioned Robinhood still holding on to 39, probably the strongest of the equities at this point, guys.
Robinhood is absolutely just chilling out. And look, obviously a lot of these names are gapped up, and we went over this before. Certainly, it's a pick your poison type of moment. So, like, I like Mara, and again, it just comes down to a matter of a little bit of preference. I think you're chasing a move on Robinhood by a little bit here. And when I look over at Mara, as I said, you've got this 27 on the daily that it's breaking away from. So it's more of a fresh move into this level. And it's simple. Like, if it can hold on to prior highs, I think you've got room, even potentially to 30, maybe not necessarily today. So this is one that's already done that dip and held. All it has to do is do it again. Now, if you're trading Robinhood or SoFi is the name that I like, and we talked about that over the weekend video. But if you are trading a Robinhood, I think looking at VWAP in a situation like this, like, it's all well and good to say, yeah, prior highs can hold, I want to look long. Well, I mean, the prior high it's just a little far away from any kind of a normal risk to reward trade. That's why I have the eyeballs on Amara. I think you're waiting for $38 here on Robinhood. Could happen, certainly possible that you could come back in. It just feels to me like this one already did the move that I would like Mara to do. So, you know, at the open, like I said, Palantir going to be in play, and I'm choosing Mara in there, and then, of course, Tesla. So Robinhood, probably by the wayside. I do want to at least point out, because I don't know if it'll get traded today, but MSTR, with that obvious monster move last week, it was nasty to the downside, had a very good trendy day on Friday. It got to $450, and everyone saw right at the end of the day, it just rolled right over. So this 450 is still looming out there on MSTR, MicroStrategy. So obviously there's a lot going on to unpack here. You have the short position and the short thesis. There was some unwinding, I think, of that with the program buying that we saw. But that 450 level, man, if MicroStrategy gets past this resistance, it could easily shoot 25 bucks. Just be wary, of course, of sitting on the bid of this thing. It can get a little bit illiquid.
Yeah, I think that that 450 kind of showed itself already last week with that bit of a lick grab that happened going into the end of the day. Again, I remember because I was short MSTY on that same idea there, and we lick grabbed into that 450. I got stopped out, and then the selling came in. So that 450, it might be a little bit of an obstacle to watch out for if we are to kind of trade into that once again. I'm watching Coinbase as well here. A little bit of nice consolidation in and around prior day's highs. Again, you see that flush that came in here on Coinbase as well. Going into the close, we're trading above that right now with a little bit of a hold on that 308 halves right now with the pre-market high of 312 halves as well. So it should be interesting. Nice little tight consolidation. Again, got to keep eyes on Bitcoin here. Again, dictating a lot of these moves on strong volatility. So we still haven't really pushed past that 99,860 mark right there. Okay, so we're about 250 points. Sorry, 140 points away from that 100,000 point mark there on Bitcoin. And look, you can see we've been trending up pretty nicely for a decent chunk of this month right here, clean trend. So I think if we do pull back, I think we're more than valid up until like 94s, 92s even for a pushback up on the bigger picture move. So again, shortened week, lower volume potentially. Let's see. I definitely agree with Brendo here. Some of this stuff kind of happens when nobody's really looking. If you know Bitcoin from the past, a lot of these big moves have happened holiday times or just on weekends when you least expect it. But the best thing you can do is set an alert, right? If you set an alert, it doesn't matter when it happens. You'll know when it's there. I have my alert right above that, right above 999s, right there.
You're not going to say anything about Sava hitting 450?
I mean, it's doing its thing. This is close to the halt band. So from around where I got in earlier, this is close to the halt band. But again, we're still trading pre-market.
It's 25% up.
Yeah, of course. You got to run the stats on things that are down more than 30% and how much of an average bounce they give you over time. But it's not bad. It's not bad. We'll see. It's happening to work out. The short flow makes it better.
Obi is like bruh man from Martin. He's just chilling. Just chilling. Back to the desk.
Intel just popping up in front of me here, guys. The Commerce Department and Intel close to finalizing $8 billion in CHIPS Act grant to INTC. So just blew through 25 there, volume alert for Intel. All right, let's continue along here with what else is moving around. Macy's pretty ugly, although it's climbed back above 16, trying to hold here. Volume is just not even existent on this. This is a crazy story. If it turns out to be accurate at the same point, it kind of seems like the market's shrugging this off.
Yeah, so far, 1.25. I want to see how this trades after the bell. This might be an after the bell reaction. So here's a look. An independent investigation revealed a single employee at Macy's was responsible for intentionally making erroneous entries in the ledger. So the employee, listen to this, concealed about $132 million to about $154 million worth of delivery expenses from Q4 of 21 to Q3 of 23. What he was planning on doing with them and where he was concealing them, we still don't have details. As a second little piece of information, they did report preliminary results. Net sales down 2.5%, revenue down $4.75 billion, missing the estimates of 4.77. Brendo. So I'll have to keep an eye on this one after the bell.
Yeah, as I said, there's not a lot of participation so far this morning. Other things may be a little bit more exciting at this point.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Interesting story. Don't get me wrong. That's entertaining. Yeah, that's almost at $5, by the way. Yep. I'm talking about Cassava Sciences. So Cassava Sciences, interesting. Crypto, interesting. Tesla, interesting. Heck, NVIDIA is even kind of interesting. Macy's, unfortunately not. I think if you're looking at And again, like if this was down 10 points, maybe I'd be a little more interested in it, but it's dead flat on a story like this. I think if you're looking at a retail name, I think maybe looking at Gap after their earnings would be the one to go to, at least given like it's back above the 25 level. You saw it get smoked. Yeah, that's right. It filled in the gap after they gapped up. I can say that a million times. No, but it's now back above the 25 level. So I think this is a name that's at least interesting. The channel that we liked, it ended up holding that on Friday at the end of the day. And all of a sudden looking like it wants to do a bit of a rebound there. But obviously, Macy's interesting story. I suppose if it's active after the open, worth looking at. But oh boy.
Oh boy.
See what I did there?
Yes.
Said oh boy. Sava now through VWAP. I mean, VWAP's irrelevant here. But almost at $5.
I dropped an anchor at the.
Where is anchor VWAP on this thing?
So I guess Macy's definitely going to be one of the tickers on watch. It's always interesting when a ticker comes out and says, "Oh, wait, we don't want to post our earnings just yet," or "We can't post our earnings just yet," and we're already getting a bit of a reaction in the pre-market off of that run up on Friday with relative volume as well. So that's interesting. We kind of wipe pretty much all of Friday's prices as well. We had that run up kind of started on Thursday with that continuation on Friday. But yeah, coming in, let's see if we make some lower highs with reference to some of those prices there. Sava right here. So if you want to look at Sava, when you drop an anchored right here, again, I was wondering to drop the anchored here, but then we opened up and did a significant amount of volume on this bar. So I'm going to consider this the event instead, and as of right now, we're trading above it. Would you look at that? 420 is the anchored VWAP here on Cassava Sciences. So should be interesting. Bit of a size that keeps on showing up and getting taken out on the ask there in the pre-market. So it seems like buying is definitely ensuing coming into the open. Should be interesting. Again, are we expecting a halt? Yeah, this thing can easily do 10% right off of the open. It's under $5 right here. And yeah, $5 incoming as we trade at 494s. There was just some size sitting in the 80s. They just got slapped there for a few hundred lots. And you guys can see $5, 160 lots right there at $5. So let's see if that can continue coming into the open there. But yeah, seems to be working out as of right now. There goes $5.
It's over.
There was a volume alert there for AMC, just popped up to pre-market highs here. The pre-Thanksgiving weekend, total domestic sales, the highest in the company's 104-year history for this past weekend. So AMC just popped up. For anyone watching that one, let's talk Snowflake here after the monster move last week, coming off better than expected earnings. Wedbush with the upgrade here this morning on Snow.
Well, a while ago, I mean, not even that long ago, this was under $100. Now we're talking about breaking through that 180 level. Let's talk about why they're moving up today. So Wedbush, Danny Ive specifically, really pounding the desk here about the growth in AI for enterprise AI. Said likely to exceed expectations going into 25. That had him upgrading Snow from neutral to outperform and boosting that price target up to $190. Says they're well positioned and in a sweet spot for AI-driven use cases over the next 12 to 18 months, and their quarterly results exceed expectations with strong forward guidance, hence the upgrade.
Yeah, more than a double on this thing now since the beginning of November, another 7%.
Is it though? Well, okay, it's having a fantastic day. Well, another fantastic day, I should say, but obviously since earnings, Snowflake has been on one. We already went over, like I just prefer Palantir as a setup. That's why we went over that name. That said, you cannot really argue with the consolidation. You hold the highs, and then you consolidate off the highs. That's a very good-looking setup, and now you're out and about above 175. What I will point out here, I know it looked like you had those rejections higher, but you keep in mind there's a difference between pre- and post-market trading, and to me, a lot of times that opening range, when it fails, it's not that you forget that it happened. When you get a big failed breakout at the open, sometimes to me, I just feel like those levels are still valid. So if it can get back above the 176, I think that's a clear room to 180. I just, as mentioned, I'm going to be trading Palantir today. I still like Snowflake. My next target in my personal account swing, I'm sitting up here, I think in front of like, you know what? I know exactly where I put it. $188.88 because I'm a goof like that a little bit. But yeah, I think it's got plenty of room to continue to go on the daily. I just prefer the Palantir setup in front of that $66.50 today. So it won't be a snow day for me, but I still like that long thesis, and I'm still holding on to my swing in my personal account.
No, I like that. Again, earnings day 3 is today, right? So we can see that Snow did quite well on its earnings day. That opening drive was nice as well, coming in off of the open. Bit of a consolidation and some selling off on Friday, giving back some of that pop. But interestingly enough, holding that day 1 consolidation, and look at this consolidation on Friday. Pretty much flat for over 4 hours going into the close, and now we're slowly melting to the upside back towards some of those highs there. 178.69 is the high from Friday. We're trading 174.68. So yeah, for that continuation, I want to see this level hold right here at 167s, but we're almost 10 points above that level, and that pre-market or prior day high at 178. I want to see if that can push. We get through that 180 and then maybe look for another leg to the upside, or do we consolidate sideways some more here as this consolidation continues on today? I have no idea, but those are some of the possibilities that I'm looking for here on Snowflake. Let's see how that unfolds going off of into the open there.
All right, we'll touch on Sava to wrap things up here. Don't refresh your screens. It is actually 81% to the downside here this morning. This is the same drug we've been talking about for years with this company. Yeah, I mean, there was absolutely no positive result from this latest trial for Cassava Sciences. That was out early on this morning, down to, what was the low here? $3.75, $4. Crazy.
Yeah, it's trying to bounce back. Great trade look right now. Obi catching the bottom there. So the decline follows the news that the phase 3 Alzheimer's treatment failed to meet its expectations. The name of the drug, Simuflam or whatever. It was supposed to treat cognitive and functional Alzheimer's, mid to moderate Alzheimer's patients. The treatment did not show improvement compared to the placebo after 52 weeks. So they did this for over a year. And so Cassava Sciences decided to discontinue the second phase of the phase 3 trial based on these results. And there's a price action.
Yeah, that's what happens, as you and I were noting just before we came on this morning. This is nowhere near all-time lows for Cassava Sciences. Still some room left, guys, downside.
Yeah, which is, it's kind of crazy to think that, to be honest with you, but that's reality. Like, you never really know how far something like this is going to go, but I think when it's down this much, you know, Obi's got it to the long side, and I just want the sucker to open up. I do expect, I'm expecting it's probably going to halt within the first few minutes, because it does not have to make a very large move to go into a halt. 10% is nothing now that it's a $5 stock again, so I think it's insignificant. But you do have the $4 level. It's going to be hard to tell on some of these charts, but the $4 level is going to be out and about for an SSR bounce type play. And I think every single halt is an entry potential opportunity as well, especially if we can hold those prices on the way back up. So if it's gonna halt to the upside, then open and hold a halt level, I think you can start risking off those. First look, because it's at 475, is going to be $4 for me. It might have to halt down to trade into that $4 level, but I'm going to be all over this one at the open. Just got to make sure you're having level 2 dedicated to it, because if you try to take a halt trade, you got to be very, very fast when it comes to Cassava Sciences. Just very quickly, I wanted to point out there's already an imbalance on that QBTS stock. That's the quantum computing name. So 1.9 million to the buy side on QBTS. Palantir, which we're looking to buy long, is 850,000 to the buy side as well. So a couple of early imbalances. Archer's in there at 850,000 as well. So a few imbalances. Sava's not one of them, but it's still pretty early as far as the imbalances go. I'd expect in a couple minutes we'll check back in, and maybe, I'd be surprised if Sava wasn't on the imbalance locator going into the open, to be honest. That would be pretty shocking to me if there wasn't some kind of open interest that shows up in a couple of minutes. Yeah, no, again, a little involved in this one. Let's see what it does off of the open there. Again, Anchored is now sitting at 490, 498, and we're kind of pulling back off of that right there. We attempted to push above that $5 mark. We got to 530s, and then aggressive selling kind of comes back into the ticker, coming in off of the open. Again, this ticker has,
my thing right here. So 44.46% short float right here, and shares float is about 42 million. We've already done about 20 million in the pre-market right here. So a significant amount of said float has been somewhat traded in the pre-market. About 50% of that float. Now, who knows how much of it's actually cornered? I have no idea. But again, I'm going to be watching this price action off of the open, looking for that halt and looking for traps either way. Right? I'm more than willing to be wrong on this ticker. Let's see how it goes coming in off of the open. I have no idea what it's going to do, but again, some of these things that gap down aggressively, they tend to have a bit of a bounce, and it seems like in the pre-market we've already gotten a good chunk of that bounce right there. Look at that coming in right here. A lot of size on the ask, pushing it down as of right now. Some strong selling, bringing it back down to $4. So let's see if we halt down off of the open here. Coming in, these are the imbalances that did come out right here. Opening imbalances at 925. We're getting aggressive selling back into that 420 mark. But what I'll be looking for, again, it may be some short traps. What's up?
Yeah, before we go back maybe and get the lesson from Sharif there, Sava just came out with a 1.9 million sell imbalance. So right at 925, wasn't shocked necessarily to see Sava with an imbalance. So 1.8 million to the sell side on Cassava Sciences. It's done over 20 million already pre-market. This is going to do, 100 million plus, a couple 100 million shares. So it's not a huge imbalance, but that's the reason for that push down, down into $4 already here is Cassava Sciences. With about 3 or 4 minutes to go. Before we go to the desk, I just want to quickly, to have not talked about NVIDIA today is a reflection of what NVIDIA did on Friday, which is a whole lot of nothing in the afternoon. But check out 4250. Support to resistance all afternoon, and then 4250 resistance. You're like, oh, you're going to take a 4250 long break, Neil? No. AMD. AMD is actually gapping up, and it's got its own level here at $41.50. So I kind of like this a little bit better to watch out for. So watching both those names. Of course, NVIDIA is worth having on the radar a little bit here, but this looks pretty good. And then everyone already knows about SMCI. I think we talked about this one on Friday. I just think the trade is like a relief rally long, and then you look to join the long. So I'm kind of dip buying in front of previous high. Same thing we're doing with Palantir and Mara. We're doing with SMCI here off the 34 level. With only 3 minutes to go, it's going to be hard not to focus at the open on Sava. I got dip buys out there on the names that we just mentioned, but Cassava Sciences, that $4 level looks like it could be here right away, Obi, at 930. So sell and balance on Sava, got some eyeballs on Palantir on that dip buy. Same thing with SMCI. AMD looks like it has a chance to break, and we like Tesla even for some dips in the prior high, that 358. So there's a heck of a lot to get to. But before I forget, I need to get to the desk and find out what the lesson of the day is going to be with Sharif, I believe. Sharif? Yes, no, maybe so.
Oh, hello. I closed everything. I have got nothing open. I'm sorry. You didn't tell me that.
It's all good. Oh, just quickly, Sava has paired off 800,000 of that imbalance is now paired off here. So it's down to 1.1, whereas Palantir is now 1.1 to the upside all of a sudden. Palantir now with a 1.1 million buy. That is so strange. Palantir is not even moving on that imbalance. Palantir is just chilling out a 1 million buy imbalance, and it's not doing anything. I'm on the bid in front of 66 here to go dip buying off the pre-market highs. Pre-market lows, I should say. But yeah, it's weird. 1 million buy imbalance, and it is not moving, but we're far enough away that I want to try to get picked up if we can. Sava's still pulling back in. My play is going to be, can $4 hold at the open? So if it can blast and hold above 4 at 930, I'm just looking for a nice little mean revert type trade. And if it can do that and a halt up, I would try to hold through a halt. But if it halts up, I might actually try to take the halt trade as well. So we got about a minute to go in here. Obi, a lot to look at, obviously.
For sure.
But this is a day where Sava's got big volume. The crypto names have got gigantic volume. Tesla is at an all-time high, although let me just quickly show you guys what just happened on Tesla. Tesla pulling back a couple bucks here as that's starting to drip in a little bit. Didn't see Tesla on the imbalance locator. It's still just QBTS, Palantir, and Sava's actually really shrinking now. only 400,000 on the imbalance locator. But Tesla's dropping regardless. So here it goes. Tesla could get back into that prior high, that 357 to 58 level that we're watching. Remember, I said preach patience. You had to be very patient to catch that $10 move on Tesla on Friday. That breakout came at like 10:30, not at 9:30. So I'm ready to be patient with Tesla while we're looking at these other names led by Cassava Sciences. But you know what to do right about now. Get the camera off me. Let's get it over to Adara, who you can't tell, but that's green-ish. That blazer, it's adjacent. I don't know, it's close enough that I call it more green than red. Let's ring it. Holiday shortened week starts in 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. And immediately,
so coming off of the open, yeah, kind of stalling right there. $4 again. We saw in the pre-market right there. $4 was churning a decent amount of volume right here. Let's see if we get the halt down coming in off of the open there. 380. So yeah, okay. So this thing only needs to don't forget move 10% for a halt. So any large player that comes in and slaps the book around, or a group of players that slap the book around, can definitely achieve that kind of price action right here.
Yep.
Market taking a significant pullback right off of the open. You can see about
Palantir is dumping
50%. Retracing about 50% of that move that we had in the pre-market right there. Those 3 strong bars. Wow, look at that right here. A strong flush back down into 20,970s or 980s right here. And then Sava catching a little bit of a bid right here. Let's see if there's any follow through. Let's see, again, looking for that potential halt through those highs. Let's see if we make higher lows or higher highs. I have no idea just yet, but just continuing to watch this tape right here on Cassava Sciences. There goes 360 on Tesla. So oh boy, that Tesla has taken a significant pullback coming in off of the open there, getting a little crushed. Again, we were a little involved last week. I don't necessarily need these lines anymore, as they don't really hold as strong of a significance for me. But yeah, we'll continue to watch some of these pre-market levels here on Tesla to see if it either breaks down or breaks out. But oh boy, look at this market coming all the way back in, Neil, if we did nothing in the pre-market.
This was insane, by the way. So remember, we're sitting on the bid in front of 66 on Palantir. Well, Palantir dipped right into pre-market lows, filled us up. We got shares at 12s, immediately hit offer enter on the first bounce when it got to 20s. It got to 40s, and then right at VWAP, it got right to VWAP on the chart at 66.75. Big time right-hand turn and right back down in there. This is one that I don't want to stand in the way of, but already we're able to ring the register on Palantir. However, Cassava Sciences, I said if it held 4, we'll try to go. It's going to be hard to tell because the scaling's jacked up on this one, but Cassava Sciences did hold. I got some, okay, it bounced to 440. You can barely tell here because of the scaling on the chart. I'll have to zoom way in so you can see. It got up to 440, but then broke back under 4. I'm now out of that one, but we're still in Palantir now, $1 in the money. Meanwhile, Tesla was a bit of a missed opportunity. Unfortunately, Tesla does bounce off almost 358 there, as now Palantir is starting to rock and roll. But Tesla bouncing off VWAP as well. Sava does not hold $4. Let's go to Adara.
Keep an eye here on AMC. This one getting a nice volume pop here right off the open. As you can see here on the daily chart as well, we're in a bit of an uptrend, or have been for the last little while. Higher highs, higher lows. We did talk about this one a little bit earlier, but the catalyst on this has to do with the pre-Thanksgiving weekend revenue. Apparently AMC's revenue for this weekend was the highest for pre-Thanksgiving weekend since the company opened 104 years ago. So great look here for AMC. Apparently 4.6 million theater goers this last weekend at day's highs here, just about around 4.4% to the upside, guys.
Thank you, Adara. Something interesting that I just noticed, I was pointing out to Neil, is looking at the Mag 7 basket right here. The market had a strong, aggressive flush to the downside, and I'm looking at where that selling might be coming from, and only Softy and Nvidia, again, one of the more higher constituents there in the spider, but those were the only ones that really sold off. Nvidia being a more aggressive sell than the rest of them. But if you take a look at Apple, you take a look at Alphabet, you take a look at Amazon, they're blasting to the upside through those pre-market highs and printing about a couple points above. Apple a couple is 1 point above, but Alphabet, Google, a couple points above its open, and that 201 coming in on Amazon once again. So let's see if this 200 area has been interesting, Neil, over the past couple of weeks.
200,
right here.
eh?
Yeah, the 200. That's that Bezos area. It went up to 210s and then kind of pulled back through that 200. We'll see what happens coming into the day here. But that distinct difference in some of the mags there was interesting. Some names got aggressively bought up. And softy NVIDIA still seems to be selling off to the downside, aggressive selling back through that 140, guys. So let's take a quick look at that one. Tesla's also selling off, right? So that's also part of the Mag 7 as well. Let's take a quick look at Meta. What's Meta up to? Oh boy, look at this one. Similar to Apple, Alphabet, and Amazon, ripping to the upside, opens in and around that 562, trading 566s as of right now. So this market is doing a little bit of a shake and bake. As of right now, Microsoft actually made it all the way back to its pre-market range highs as of right now. So you can see that strong wick. So all of that selling getting bought right back up on both the ES and the NASDAQ. ES actually pushing for fresh highs as of right now. NASDAQ not there just yet, holding and coasting above that 20,100 as of right now. We're trading back above $4 here on Cassava. Again, in the pre-market, did a decent amount of volume in and around this $4 mark. Some strong reserves happening there. You can see my chart's a little bit flat, so let me pull in this other chart right here. We can go down to the 1 minute and take a look.
This is getting
at the
before we go to Adara here. This is getting very nasty on NVIDIA. Now down 2% and continuing to flush here, down through 139. It's trying to catch a bid, but it simply can't. I'm back into Sava every time it takes the $4 level, but I'm going to scalp a little bit more here as it's looking like it's resisting the 420 on Cassava Sciences. Let's go to, I believe, the desk with Adara.
BBIO and watch here. This is Bridge Bio. This one at day's highs here, 27%. As you can see in the daily chart, quite the gap up here for BBIO, getting FDA approval for Attruby, which is its rare heart disease drug. BBIO also has a short float of about 11%, guys.
We're holding. This is on top of prior day's highs.
Yeah, I got to
Tesla.
You know what? Gut is saying the trail is now in on Palantir there. You just had a big rejection of 66.75 to go right back under the pre-market low. So we went dip by hunting off 66, but I do not like that rejection when the market's rolling over. So I just took it out. We can always join back in on Palantir. I'd rather snag the $1.30 and then try to jump back in here if we can hold a bid. And if we hold VWAP, then we'd be getting in back at around that same price. Sava's still battling with $4, but the real story is NVIDIA dragging everything down with it in here. NVIDIA looking still pretty nasty, down at 139 and continuing to fall. What that's done, oddly enough, is I look over at SMCI, like everything else was looking like it was pulling back. Tesla pulled back in there. I looked over to see what Mara was doing, not looking very strong. SMCI is still going. I feel like this is one of the longs that we like that still looks pretty reasonable in here. So VWAP at 36, I canceled my 34 bid. We're not going to get 34 on SMCI. And if we do get 34 on SMCI, why the heck would I want it? Everything would have changed at that particular price. But Tesla, the dip buy, is looking like it's going to be in here at that 357.
Yeah, so this is in and around that prior day high right here.
Yep.
That Tesla is looking to bounce off of. Let's see if that bounce actually comes in. Do we break that downtrend coming in off of the open there? Again, aggressive selling on a lot of names here, but NVIDIA finally catching a bit of a bid here, as well as pull over to Tesla and take a look at that one right here on a shorter time frame. This is the 1 minute right here. So 3 1-minute bars back to back, kind of buying coming in. VWAP sitting at 359 as of right now, day low or opening range low. As again, it's only 938. So if you're looking at that 50-minute opening range low, as of right now, we're sitting at 355.76. Let's see if we can get that pop back to VWAP right here with a bit of, I guess, a bid coming into the market. Tesla and NVIDIA lagging behind the rest of these Mag 7s, but it seems like we are getting that bid back to VWAP as of right now, Neil. So nice. Let's see if we can break back through that 360. We know that 360 has been a little bit of trouble coming in. I have a bit of a resistance above that opening range high at 365 as well. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get to 365 just yet. We got to get through that 360, then we have to get through that opening range high at 362.70s, and then maybe we're poised for a little bit higher. But again, Tesla has been an interesting ticker over the past couple of weeks here. We know what's been happening in and around this, part of the Trump basket trade as well. And the windup has been nice. We gap up a little bit above prior day's highs, and now we're bouncing above prior day's highs. I like that for the continuation trade. Let's see if we can see prices past that 363 coming into the day today. But the market tailwind is definitely on our side here.
Oh, yeah.
It is trading at VWAP now, 359.70s on Tesla. So, oh boy, here we go.
There we go.
VWAP sellers, are you in charge? I have no idea.
We'll
but
see
maybe
if they
I should
are.
take a little bit off here.
Yeah, I took some profit at 58 and 59 on Tesla as it's continuing to go to the upside here. Just grabbed it. And again, you got to be,
Nice. You have the
patient.
trade
It's all
as well.
about patience. Like, wait for it to get into that prior high. Once it wicked into the prior high, that was right at 56. We're able to jump in there and swoop. Sava's not doing anything. It is what it is. I know it's annoying, that stock, but it's not doing anything. So I want to see VWAP hold. I've taken profit in front of VWAP on Tesla, so I want to make sure that we're holding this if it can go. Just quickly over to a crypto name here. Mara does not hold prior highs, so no entry. No entry. It is what it is. That's an easy no entry trade. No support. You don't have to jump in front of a moving freight train if you don't have to. Palantir still looks like it was a good one to get out. One that retake of the prior high. Again, if it holds the breakout price, I don't mind it. But if it blows right through, I'm going to jump out of the trade. I thought we'd get back into 66. We haven't. But again, just be patient. I think we're looking pretty good here on these bounces. The NASDAQ just got to highs. And Obi,
Yes, sir.
your good friend, Amazon, the Bezos 200, bye-bye. We're at 201.5 and continuing to fly. So this one looking pretty strong. Just watch out on the daily chart here. We didn't get a chance to go over this, but you guys can see 205 on a daily chart. Pretty obvious as a target if you get to it. Here comes Tesla pulling right back in.
Yeah, coming right
I don't really have many short ideas in here, but the NASDAQ is going, so I'd like to look for things to go back and try some reloads on. Tesla, of course, at this bottom. Looks pretty good. Palantir, still waiting for 66. And man, Sava, no halts, not a lot of action on Sava. I might just jump out of that. It's not doing anything. Wake me up when Sava can move.
Yeah, I think just waiting for it to deal with some of this I guess orders. Is that a fair way to put it? We saw that it was consolidating. It was doing a lot of volume in and around $4 in the pre-market, and it seems like that area is not really done transacting coming into the open right here. So we pulled back aggressively all the way from 5 into 4s coming into the open, but now we're churning here. Cassava Science is doing about almost 34, just above 34 million shares traded on this ticker. So we were looking at it in the pre-market, and I was like, okay, it's almost around 20 million roughly, give or take a few mil going into the open, and now we're trading about 15 million, 14 million more coming in off of the open there. So it should be interesting. $4 could be interesting. That $5 always an interesting place as well on stonks. So we are trading below that as of right now, but not really the reaction that I was looking for just yet. Let's see if anything comes out in the middle of the day there, any PRs, any news releases. But again, at the end of the day, if you ask me what my risk on this ticker is as of right now, it's to zero. So I want to get a lot more on this trade right here, but it seems like that pre-market scalp was the place to be, as it had that distinct action off of that failure to follow through below 350s. But again, we're holding in and around this $4 level right now. So let's see if we see a little bit lower, a little bit higher. But something that is going a little bit higher, Neil, is both the NASDAQ and the ES here. So that spider is definitely crawling to the upside as of right now. 360s, we're back at it again here on Tesla. All right, so let's see. So, okay, as soon as I said
Tesla.
that, bit of a sell back into VWAP right there, but within the trend, right? Within the trend, we've seen that last pullback off of VWAP come all the way down to 357s. But take a look at this. This aggressive sell comes in right into VWAP, 359.73s, and we're holding. So I want to see bids come in and step in on top of that VWAP to really confirm my idea and the trade through that higher day. What's going on?
We mentioned Amazon here, and we mentioned probably Apple, but not Alphabet. Alphabet up 2%. What you're seeing is you're being led by the mag. Well, okay, like not the Mag 7 because, I mean, Tesla's 2%, but NVIDIA's down 2%. So, I mean, obviously, you've got some names that are carrying the strength here in the NASDAQ. Crypto names are getting pulled back. Bitcoin's back underneath 97,000. But Google, another one, which is absolutely flying here, bouncing off that 200 period that we like. I also want to point out MSTR back down around $400. Again, the MSTR tanking down 4%. I think dragging some crypto names with it. But I'm only in Tesla after, I mean, look, Slava's not doing anything. So unfortunately, I think that's a bit of a nothing burger. Maybe it gets to 350 and can do some kind of a bounce. But Tesla trying to hold on to VWAP here. Don't love the fact that we can't hold a 360 level on Tesla. If it gets back up here and does another failed wick, then I'm going to jump out of this trade and look for the reload. But I feel like we've already scalped in front of VWAP. I want to give it some time to hold above. Adara?
Keep an eye here on RGTI. Looks like some of these quantum names from the last few weeks are still running. This one is Rigetti. In addition to being part of that quantum space, this one did announce that it's completed a $100 million at-the-market equity offering. Apparently, they're going to use this money for capital, but they're also going to use it to work on the quantum computing space, according to a press release. This company does have a 16.5% short float, near day's highs up 75%. RGTI, guys.
Rigetti coming in to save the day, which no one's going to get because Dave Rigetti pitched in the 80s. But that's perfectly fine. I'm also not a Yankee fan. But shout out to it. Look, all these quantum names have been running, so you don't necessarily want to sleep on them. But there's just eyeballs over here to that Rigetti. VWAP is sitting at about 270. I usually like pre-market breakout levels. So if it can hold on to VWAP, you got some confluence here with the pre-market high break and VWAP going along. Yep. But let's be real, Tesla will be, it's right back. It's coming right back into our support level.
Oh boy.
So the question becomes, can it bounce twice? It's already bounced once, and remember, it's just off of prior highs. We're looking for the same thing in here to see if it can do it one more time. But this is now kind of trending down. You've got lower highs. You want to see some higher lows. This would be a first chance to put in a higher low. That's what you want to see. If you're being patient, let it put in that higher low, which is also what Sava's trying to do, believe it or not.
Yeah, as of right now, again, we talk about that $4 level. We're still churning, chopping and churning right there. Size doing its thing there, showing up both on the bid and the ask there on Cassava. So I'm going to let that kind of do its thing. And it seems like Tesla wants to come into its day lows as of right now. Some aggressive selling coming in here. Market, let's see, how much time is left on this 15-minute? So we still have about 13 and a half minutes left. This 15-minute candle to print. Market's taking a little bit of a pullback as of right now. So let's see if Tesla makes any higher highs or higher lows. But if it breaks through, if it cracks through that low, that's perfectly fine as well. Stop out, try again. There you go. Stopped out right there as we clip those day lows. And then let's see if we can try again here on Tesla. The idea was a hold of that prior day high, and it did hold, and it gave you about, almost 4 or 5 points to the upside back into VWAP as we attempted to push past that 360 mark. But when it comes right back in and breaks that day low, the trade is over. Where's the next trade is what I'm asking. So we did a bit of a failure to follow through that opening price right there. That 15-minute candle looked like it was going to close green, but closes red and then flushes even further a little bit down back into some of those prior days levels. So let's see if we can catch a bit of a reload here coming into the day on Tesla, to see if we can take it to the upside. But if we're going to make lower highs and lower lows off of a failure to follow through of that 360 mark, I think maybe we should be looking a little short here. But we did have initially that market tailwind on our side. See that AMC is flying. Oh boy, yeah, that thing is running to the upside right now. But yeah, a lot of these other names that I had on watch, nothing too crazy as of right now. Something interesting when we talk about distinctly different is the action on some of these chips. NVIDIA, aggressive selling to the downside, Neil, but Micron is blasting to the upside. Intel is blasting. SMCI is catching a bid. AMD is catching a bid. The TQs, you can already see they're catching a bid. And SMH kind of sideways flat. So it seems like that NVIDIA is not really having too much of an umph on this market, as it's one of the only chip names that's aggressively
NVIDIA is not it today.
Off. It's not it.
NVIDIA is definitely not it today. There's no question about it. It just made another fresh low. And as Obi said, and you guys will already have seen it, Tesla could not hold on to the bid, so no reload. There wasn't a reason to reload, but it took out that prior low. I mean, the only thing left, if we get any lower here and keep trending down, is going to be afternoon support around the 352, where there were a host of buyers at the 352 level for the majority of the afternoon. That's about the place that I would go back into. Oh, you're waking up a little bit here. Okay. Sava's waking up at the $4 level. I think I might get back into that one as it's trying to hold 401, 402. So Sava trying to play back in. But SMCI, as you just said, Obi, like SMCI is still going. It just pulled back in a view up. Well, I was looking over to see if we'd reload Tesla. SMCI decided to pull off a VWAP and continue to fly higher. This is one I got to be able to grab here off of VWAP if we can get it. You know what? If it's just a breakout, it's just a breakout. This is now a bit of a flat top here at 37.30 on SMCI and looking incredibly relatively strong here in the chip space. 12% to the upside. Remember, the gap on this is gigantic because, hey, I mean, we all saw what happened a couple of weeks ago when SMCI.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm just kind of just continuing to watch this this Tesla. Take another stab at this as we hold in and around, or looking like we might be holding those prior day levels here. So we did come in to those prior day levels. So let me point out what I'm looking at right here. Again, we could continue to the downside. I'm more than willing to get stopped out on this sticker right here. There it is. So it gets stopped out as it pulls in a little bit further, doing more of what I don't want to see right here. So taking away some of these indicators right here. We're coming in. This green line right now is the price that Tesla is trading at right here. So we're coming into some of these prior day resistances. So I'm looking for those resistances to potentially turn into support here, but this consolidation it was quite extensive, as again we can see after the first pullback we pretty much traded within a range here for over 4 hours here on Tesla on Friday. So maybe the bid will show up where it was on Friday, in and around that 350, 351, 352 area as of right now, trading at 355s, Neil. So yeah, the 355 not looking the best as of right now, but I'm willing to take multiple stabs at it until it actually comes in and then get aggressive with it. But as of right now, trading below VWAP, making lower highs and lower lows, and flushing to the downside. Volume hasn't really dissipated at all. We're still doing some decent or stable volume here on Tesla. But again, I'm going to wait for some of that trend to the downside to break to try another long there if that prior day consolidation is going to turn into any sort of support. But again, we want to look for market tailwind as well, and that market is flushing to the downside as of right now. So not really helping Tesla's case for the long. But again, if it's going to bid a little bit lower, and I still do like the long, I think it's going to be an even better trade if we do get down to the 351s, 350s, and then maybe find a bid in and around there. But Softy taking a strong pullback as well. We saw that was strong off of the open there, but Tesla pullback as well, Nvidia pullback as well, aggressive selling. Amazon, yeah, it's still trading in and around that 200, 202, 201.93 is the day high right now, taking a pullback, trading at 200s. Alphabet trading at 167s with a 168.60 high. Apple as well was pretty strong off of the opening price at 231, went to 233s.
Obi, don't look
trading
now.
At 232s. What's happening? Oh boy.
Don't look now, but Sava's finally woken up.
Doing the thing?
Yeah, I mean, look, every time it regains the $4 level, I'm just trading at about $4. So we took a 420 early. It's going to be hard to tell. There is an out right there. I then got right back in above 4. VWAP sits at 440, guys. So if it gets past 440 and 450, I think it can break into the $5. We've already scalped into that VWAP. And then the other thing that just happened is, heck, man, if the market doesn't oblige you or a stock doesn't oblige you, then you've got to go over to something that fits the plan that's still working. Sava is now up 14%. It didn't dip into VWAP again. It did break out the prior high. That was at 37 quarters. It just tagged the 75.80 level. Yeah, I'm going to sit in front. I'm going to give me an 88 there, out in front of 38. So I'm going to hold on to SMCI through a 38 break as it just took out 37 quarters, almost 15% to the upside. But as simple as, look, the thing for me on Tesla, where we like the long, we liked it into prior high. That's what it did at the prior high. It gave you the long trade. Since then, it's now red. So no re-entry. That violates the rule for me. It's now down at 353. That's the only other level to look at is this 352 area for me from Friday. So just needed to push down into that support level. And if it does another curl, then I take a shot at it. Just wait for your trade. Be patient with Tesla, as we said. Let's go to Adara.
Yo, miss trade. Target.
Continuing to push higher. This one had a pretty good Friday, opening its session on Friday back at $4.50. Right now, we're making new day's highs around $19 for Quantum Corporation. No catalyst that I can see on this one. It's up over 100% right now. Looks like just overall quantum hype and excitement. It does have a short float of about 18.3% on a total float of 4.1 million shares. So QMCO on watch here, guys.
If it's quantum, it is going. It is that simple. The quantum stock's certainly flying around there, that QMCO on the halt. We'll check back in to see where it is when it opens up. Just for anybody out there, the TAP, the theoretical auction price, sits at 19 and it was 19 and a half, now 19.23. So it's indicating an open higher, at least currently. You're now through 38 on SMCI, now up 15%. And remember, this is with the market threatening to go red here. Threatening to go red. You're underneath pre-market support on the NASDAQ and trending back down. So it's a minor miracle that SMCI is going up, but SMCI's got its own deal here today. So heading to the upside is SMCI. Sava still holding around 420, so that's good. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. When Sava got to VWAP, we took some out there. And I feel the same way about SMCI. You know, I don't want this reverting on me the way the market is, so I'm going to slap a trend on this one on the 3-minute and then trail it just to make sure it doesn't start playing catch up. And remember we said wait for Tesla. Can it show any kind of a bid at that 352? It did not. I mean, as simple as that. Like, did it do any kind of a curl here? None. Just blew right through that support level and still continuing lower, so hands off. I need to see a bounce. I need to see a mean revert. At this point, it's bleeding like a, well, okay, I'm not going to finish that one, but if you've ever seen, yeah, I'm not going to finish that one. I could have said something nasty. But no, it's looking pretty nasty on Tesla. Just turned red. Do not want to fight it and do not want to lose on SMCI if it does a reversion here. This market's coming back relatively heavily here. Here, I'm just going to pull up the black chart so you guys can see. You have a very strong trend up on SMCI. I'm just going to connect the dots on our greens. If we lose this trend, I'm just going to jump right out of it. We've taken our profits here as it looks like, you know, obviously this one's going to be strong. At some point, it could decide to follow the market, and I don't want this losing trend. If we get to 40 for sure is a target area that I would just take it out.
Oh boy, yeah. So we come into a little bit of a level there on Tesla. That 350, definitely interesting. Day low right now at 349.25s. Market sold off pretty aggressively, but Tesla's catching a bit of a bounce off of that 350, so I like that. I got long on that 350 re-break. So we basically broke down 350s. We come in, we trade 349s, 349 halves. We break that back again, 349.25s, catches a bit of a bid back through 350 very, very aggressively, and now we're catching more of a bid and breaking some of that downtrend I'm seeing on a shorter time frame here on Tesla. Can we break some prior bars here on the 3-minute? We're running right for that prior bar high right there at 354.60s, so only about a point away from there. Oh boy, this one came in quite aggressively, Neil, so gotta be a little bit patient for this one, but this is seeming to work out as of right now. Let's see if we continue to make some fresh highs. Market bounce not really coming in just now, just yet, but still trading pretty much sideways here on the ES. We did have some volatility to the upside, to the downside, aggressive buying, aggressive selling, but you can see pretty much kind of slightly muted. Let's see if we can catch a bit of a bounce here on Tesla, potentially coming in. You can see that VWAP sitting at 357 now. So off of the open, we had resistance at 362. We attempted to break and hold that VWAP. That didn't really work. 360 became resistant. Let's see if sellers have stepped down below that VWAP, or do we kind of pull back into VWAP, and that's where we see sellers again here on Tesla with the market coming in a little bit lower. Tesla's catching a bit of a bounce off of that 350. Again, 350 maybe potentially significant right here. Looking at a 3-hour chart, you look back at it and you can see this stronger consolidation. We looked at Friday's consolidation, but an even bigger consolidation, Neil, is this one that happened for over a few days. You can see from the 18th all the way to the 22nd, which was again last Friday, we broke out of that range high, and that buying came in aggressively off of that 348, 349 level. That high from that first day being in and around that 349 level. So let's see exactly what that high was. That high was 349.50. So we're holding the day low at 349.25. So that's about a quarter away. We came into that level. We bounced aggressively off of that. We're trading 354s as of right now. So the question becomes, are we poised for a little bit of a bounce to VWAP? That's what I'm looking for. VWAP's all the way at 357 though. Let's see if we can get that push here on Tesla, or do we make lower highs coming right back into 350? I have no idea, but a little bit of market tailwind would help and bring some confluence into this trade as of right now. But Tesla, we know it likes to do its own thing, but definitely a lot of volatility on the day today. 428s trading here on Cassava, so no real halt up, man. I was looking for that halt in off of the open, but they didn't really.
It's just not the Cassava Science isn't the one. You can be profitable scalping it, but right now it's just not moving. We took the profit on SMCI. This is the one that was powering up when the market was doing flushing, let's be real. But it did a topping tail candle at 39, broke trend back underneath 38.5, so we grabbed the $1.20 and then walk away. Looking for a VWAP retracement now. So remember the names that we like to the long side. I mean, Tesla dipped by, worked the first time. There was no setup for the second. There was no dip into 35 on SMCI. It was just a clean breakout that we had to wait for. And look, Sava's holding above $4, so it's not bad. It's just not what we're looking for. We were expecting a breakout and some parabolic moves. I just took another leg out in front of VWAP here, which sits, I mean, well, it was at 440, but now you're climbing a little bit higher. So 4.25, this one's still looking okay. What's interesting before we go to Adara is another pullback here coming on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA looking like it was just getting off the schneid. Now you're pulling right back into those lows. NVIDIA is dragging things to the downside here, but you've got to take your profits where you can. Let's go to Adara.
Let's take a look here at what's happened so far in this market. Pretty eventful Monday morning. We had the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ both start off pretty strong. Pull back, though, pretty intensely here as we get into this first half hour of the session. We do have both the S&P 500 and the Qs, though, up about 0.5%, so not too shabby. Initially, one of the things that was attributed to this push to the upside was Donald Trump, who is president-elect here. His pick for the Treasury Secretary, which is Scott Bessent. This is the founder of Key Square Group, which is a hedge fund. He also manages this hedge fund. This pick was actually viewed as positive for equities and for the stock market. We did have the US dollar move lower on this pick, and it's also worth noting some analysts have come out and said that this pick might actually not be that beneficial for these so-called Trump trades. They might be a little bit watered down after that. So interesting note there coming as a result of this presidential election and its aftermath. We do have Meta here up about 1 2/3%. This was initially up about 2%. High of day here around 573. Raymond James shows this one, added it to its favorites list with a $675 price target. Next up, we have AMC pulling back a bit, but still up about 4.5% with a 13% short float, achieving record domestic revenue here for its pre-Thanksgiving weekend. This is the best pre-Thanksgiving weekend in the company's 104-year history here, driven by Wicked and Gladiator 2. And last but not least, PLTR trying to recover a bit here from after pushing a little bit lower off the open, up about 4% here, getting positive analyst notes from Wedbush and BofA Securities, raising their price targets both to $75, guys. Lots to look at this morning.
Oh boy.
There's a host of things to look at. I just saw in the chats, and it was pointed out, Neil, why didn't you go short on or Neil, you should have gone short on SMCI when you got out. I think it's easy to say, look, it's a mean reversion. There's no question. I've done that trade before. But in the stock that I was preferring long, if that's typically a short entry, then it's a cover. Get out of the long if I see that setup. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm just going to walk in and reverse every single trade. Not every out on a long is an automatic short. That said, that is a reason to have gotten in if I was flat and I was looking short on the stock, but I was absolutely not. Palantir, by the way, is trying to hold VWAP. We only went dip buy off of 66. It's the only trade we've made on Palantir. It hasn't come back. Waiting for this one to settle down. Fortunately, getting in, getting out, taking your profits has worked today. Palantir, Sava, SMCI, and on Tesla as well. But I don't want to be rushing back in. What I do like is the market's making lows and Palantir's trying to hold another higher low. So that's a good sign. But I want it holding VWAP. I want to see SMCI level off as well before getting back into this. But you're now starting to see, okay, Sava is just, I'm going to get out if it breaks this 4 again. It hasn't been bad. It's hard to see. It hasn't been bad off 4. You get outs in the 25 to 40 range, and then it just comes right back in and is pulling underneath $4. So I'm probably just going to jump out of this if it breaks $3.99. kind of a disappointing name. I thought there'd be a heck of a lot more volatility, but it is what it is. If you take small wins on it, you take small wins. You need to be long under 4 like OB is. Unfortunately, just not doing enough for me here on Cassava Sciences. I have to point this one out because Randy will like this. Ford, look at the daily chart. Just keep it really simple. This is 1140 on Ford for the last few months here. You can look back to Friday, double top, and it's now failing 1140 again. My initial thought was if the market's strong, this thing could break it out. But if we're going to lose underneath 1140, I might just fade this and give it like a couple of pennies. And then you can just reverse long at 1140 level. I mean, it seems such an obvious level on that daily chart of resistance.
Okay, so I guess we're changing the bear to a bull there, Randy. All right, so yeah.
Really?
Randy is apparently bullish on the market.
Seen the chart?
What time frame are you looking at?
Okay.
Okay. All right. He's saying look at Apple, Neil. So are we looking at Apple? Right?
Well, there's a lot of things that are strong. The Nasdaq isn't looking all that great though.
Alphabet's pretty strong as well. Amazon's holding its opening prices right there. Yeah, the things that are weak off of the open would be Nvidia, Tesla, and Softy. Some of the other Mag 7 not really doing too much as of right now, but you can see the Nasdaq. Look at that aggressive selling coming in. Same with the ES. The Spider is catching some selling as well. Yeah, it's like where do we bounce from, right? We've been pretty strong. We've been pushing all-time highs back to back. I guess weeks or months or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, these pullbacks are maybe on the intraday might be a little significant, but bigger picture, we are well within trends. So definitely, I think it makes sense to be bullish, Randy.
Apple's pulling back though.
Bigger
Randy.
picture for sure.
Like with this market looking a little bit weak, I mean, Apple needs to hold VWAP. Like it will, he says. I'm not going to automatically jump in just because Randy. But 232.
We don't even need this.
Why not? Apparently, Randy says Apple's going to hold VWAP. Look, it's looking good. It's up 1%. You're in the midst of a bit of a breakout. I tend to I think it's still probably valid down into 231.50 when you look at it on the 15-minute chart. VWAP is just a line on a chart. I mean, if it comes all the way back, you could just support the pre-market breakout level, and then that would have rinsed some people out of the trade to get back in. Ooh, SMCI still going. The focus is going to be now, hopefully, Ford. Palantir, I'd still like it to hold on to VWAP. There it goes. Now you're going to close above, so there's the higher low dip that we're looking for that we now have on Palantir that we can work off of. So I want to reload on Palantir. Haven't been in since the open and want to jump back into this trade.
Yeah, no. So we are holding that 350 as of right now. We held it pretty well. We attempted to push a little bit lower there. Market's giving us a bit of a wick here off of that 20,900. So maybe a little bit of a bounce. We only have about 8 minutes, so about half the candle left to print here on the 15-minute chart. And Spider's not looking too hot, man. We're trading back below that 600 mark. 686 is the high, and I think that prior high was somewhere around 690. So we couldn't quite get to those highs just yet. But something that is pulling back, Neil, aggressively and maybe potentially adding to some of the sell pressure in the market is Bitcoin. Bitcoin taking an aggressive pullback. Look at that expanding volume coming in off of the open on Bitcoin as it continues to sell off a little bit more. 95.4s is what we're trading at here on Bitcoin. So potentially looking for a bit of a bounce here. So this trend is aggressive, right? So this is 930 right here. Where's 930? 930. Since 930, we've been trading lower and lower here on Bitcoin, so aggressive selling. So let's take a quick look at some of these Bitcoin names that we've been following over the past few weeks on this Bitcoin move. So MSTR, oh boy, all right. So already catching a bit of a bounce. That reversion has already kind of happened right here. So let me take a look at this right here. So this trend, this short-term trend, breaking and consolidating a little bit higher should be interesting. Let's take a look at Mara as well. Mara also breaking that downtrend off of the open. Oh boy, so that's selling off of the open was the trade, I guess. Pre-market lows crack, and that aggressive selling brings us all the way down into $25. Okay, there's some size chasing on the bid here on Tesla that I just saw from the corner of my eye. So let's see if we can break some of these consolidation highs here, or do we just consolidate near lows? I have no idea. 354s trading now on Tesla. So I guess we're doing a bit of a bounce here off of that prior few day consolidation, 4 or 5 day consolidation, again, from the 18th all the way to the 22nd. So all of last week, so prior week high is what we're bouncing off of right now here on Tesla, which also confluences with in and around that 350 mark. So I like that. Let's see if Tesla can go ahead and bring that back here to the upside. Again, day high sitting at 362.70s and catching a bit of a bid. Is it going to go all the way back? I have no idea. I'm just trying to trade this price action as best as I can, trying to get a little bit better every day. That is the goal here, Neil. And a bit of a curl here on both the Tesla and the NASDAQ. So that's what I'm looking for, maybe a little bit of a hold. What is this alert that I have that NVIDIA is holding a bit of a bid on? A prior high secondary. So, okay, so a previous all-time highs, again, not the all-time highs, but one of the previous ones is this area as of right now here on NVIDIA. 137, what do I have? 137 halves-ish area. So we're catching a little bit of a bid here. Let's see if that bid is strong enough to hold and sustain. Let's see if we make some day lows and we get to the get towards those highs right there. VWAP on NVIDIA sitting at I have 139 halves right now on NVIDIA. So we're trading 137 halves, only about a couple points away from there. Let's see if we can catch a bit of a bid, or do we continue to sell off even more? This market's got to hold up, man. What's going on there, Darren?
Watch out for HIMS. This is up about 17% here. Decent shortfall for HIMS, but this one actually does have a little bit of a catalyst, which gave it this boost here within the last few 3-minute candles here, starting around 10 a.m. We did have Hunter Brook Research tweeting out, and this tweet has been recirculated by a couple different accounts here. Hunter Brook Research saying that HIMS could actually be really poised to benefit well by the choice that Donald Trump, president-elect here, has made for the FDA leader. That's Dr. Marty Makary. Apparently, Dr. Makary here is a fan of telehealth and also is chief medical officer of a startup involved in semaglutide. So that would be a good look here, according to Hunter Brook, for HIMS. Keep an eye on this one, guys.
Him's making some power moves. Look, we've seen that stock squeeze before, for sure. Just a couple of things here. One, MSTR is doing a dance at 400. For those that are watching this and the pullback in Bitcoin, obviously is a name under a lot of pressure, but it's been rejecting this 400 pretty heavily the last couple of minutes. Just had it up on the chart. I am now into Ford. And remember, we showed that resistance on the daily chart, so it popped up, got within a couple of cents of the high. I'm going to scalp inside the range, then hold for the bottom of the range. So pretty simple idea. It's basically the same high as Friday. And this is your range, your first range down into 1130. If it presses to 1130, then cover some in front of the quarter and then wait for 1115. Just look to make the exact same pullback that it did on Friday off of these prices. So want to make sure we do that. Palantir is this market really falling back in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so
Oh boy.
I mean, look, we haven't even reloaded Tesla once. I haven't gone back in. The only good dips were 350 and 357. Now there doesn't look like much of anything. Palantir, yeah, why am I sitting on a bid when the market is doing this? I'm just going to cancel my Palantir bid. I don't know what's going on with that chart because I just typed it incorrectly. I just want to check an order. No, I'm not going to sit on the bid. I want to see it make a curl and then get it in Palantir. There's no need to just sit on the bid and rush into a long trade, even though I like the stock to the long side. And then SMCI, man, this thing is strong. So SMCI looks like it's going to be the one, as this Palantir, because I typoed it. SMCI is incredibly strong here. Since we got out, it hasn't really made a fresh high, but it's also still making higher lows. I think VWAP is valid. At some point, if it continues this trend, the breakout price 37 quarter here could end up being right in around VWAP, but it's making a charge back into it. So I'm looking at 37 at 37 quarter for potential reload. But the only new trade we put on was our first short of the day and a very simplistic one here in Ford. Like this is not a crazy trade. It's only a couple cents in the money. We're only risking a couple of cents. But want to play it down into this 1130 range. I'm going to get on the bid underneath this 33 just to make sure that we have orders out and are ready to go. And then the quarters as well here on Ford. So looks like the market does not want to hold on. I know Randy said things were going to be good, but they're not. The NASDAQ wants red. And the NASDAQ is hunting. We're now through the lows. We're right into afternoon highs on the NASDAQ from going back into Friday and continuing lower in here. So we're just going to continue to scalp out of this forward trade and be very, very patient about sitting on bids here. And remember I just said, oh, I like Palantir if it could hold VWAP. Yeah, but why am I going to just sit on the bid of Palantir when the market's dropping? No. If it shows you a bounce, try that entry. Shows you a bounce, you can try that entry. Let's see if it can do the same thing off the 66. Otherwise, no need to try to catch a falling knife in here. This market clearly doesn't want to give you the longs.
Yeah, so we got stopped out again here on that Tesla as it breaks back below. Market really, really weak, or I guess really strong to the downside, depending on how you look at it right there. So I will be a little bit more patient here. I was a couple points there in the money, and I reloaded on top of that 350, but it comes back in through that day low. So I'm like, all right, well, peace out of there for now. If we're going to catch a bit of a bid, maybe going to reassess in and around 340, 346s, 347s right here. But I'll continue to watch this one. That 350 is definitely still interesting. Again, maybe not. If I just wait a little bit more, maybe I won't get the best prices, but again, maybe I can do a little bit better with catching a potential move back to the upside if that is poised to happen. But selling definitely keeps coming back in as that bid barely even got back to VWAP last time. Again, VWAP was sitting in and around that 356 mark, and the last bid took us to 354, so just a couple points shy of that level right there. We're trading back into that 350 as of right now, so let's see if we can continue to make some fresh lows, or do we break this trend? As of right now, no real trend break happening just yet. We did go sideways a little bit there, but that selling coming right back in into the ticker, trading below that 350 now. So again, I'm going to be a little bit more patient right here on Tesla. Where is the next trade is what I'm asking. So throw it up in the chat. What have you guys been trading off of the open? We know that Bitcoin's been having a strong sell off of the open there as well. Quantum stock,
QUBT.
What's that one up to?
I mean, QUBT is an absolute rocket ship. I mean, it is what it is. It just broke out the high of the day here on QUBT, now up 31.5%, although I mean, it's all over the place. But this did this in the afternoon on Friday, about 1:30 or so. It did a parabolic move like this. It's in a bit of a pullback phase, but these are the ones that continue to rally. Like, wow. Like, look at the chart. You're seeing some strength here. The market's trying to catch a bid, and at the end of the day, you know, these might be where the juice is on these bad boys. I saw Almog in the chat. May I ask how come lately we see less small cap trades? Yeah, you know what it is, to be honest with you, when you have trends like this on Palantir on a daily chart, just as an example, or when SMCI is, okay, that's not a good looking chart, it's not split adjusted, but when SMCI is trending the way it is, when Tesla's been giving you $5, $10 moves, like when those things are going well, you're just not going to trade the small, I'm not going to trade the small caps as much because there's plenty of opportunities in these names that'll move a little bit more. And the trade, you just follow the trade setups. You know, at the end of the day, I don't mind trading those QUBTs, but I liked SMCI longs today. I like Palantir longs today. So ultimately, you just got to pick your poison on each individual day and try to predict what the market is going to give you and what will be the best. QUBT, is it better than SMCI? Maybe it is. It might be, but you just got to take the wins where they lie, as far as I'm concerned. Ford is trying to bounce, but I'm more interested in a bit of a nice hold. Okay, Randy said VWAP was going to hold on Apple. It's getting there. It pulls back into, remember, yeah, you know, that prior pre-market top here could also be the level to work off of. Now it's starting to hold that. So I like a little rounded bottom action happening here on Apple. As if the market holds lows, why not look at what was strong earlier for some dip buys as opposed to try to catch falling knives? Google's above VWAP. Apple's trying to hold VWAP. SMCI is still looking okay, strong above VWAP. That's where I want to be on longs, not the things that are trying to make some kind of a low here. We're, again, still catching a bit of a falling knife. So that Apple, look to see if it can hold on to VWAP. SMCI, I might need another execution plan because we're not going to get VWAP at this rate on this stock.
Yeah, something that is ripping up into its VWAP right now is Mara. We talked about that Mara kind of looking like it did break trend. It did break trend, consolidated sideways on top of 25 halves, now pushing into 26s. where its VWAP lies here. So a bit of a bid coming in. Let's take a quick look at that Bitcoin and see if that's catching a bit of a curl. So okay, yeah, all right. We did talk about a bit of looking for a bit of a break in trend off of the open there. So we are breaking that trend as of right now. So the question becomes, do we actually catch a bid? Or do we continue to make lower highs, or do we trade sideways? I have no idea, but this selling pressure is definitely a little aggressive here on these markets. But we're attempting for a little bit of a bounce. That 20,900 churning as of right now, but only 11 minutes or 11 minutes left to go. Only 4 minutes have passed in this 15-minute candle, and we've been printing reds straight up since what is it? Since about 10 o'clock or 9:45 here. So the first 15-minute candle was a big green on the market. Then we just started selling off aggressively right here. So I'm looking for a break in that behavior. What is catching a bid, you may ask? Well, if you look at SMCI, SMCI is continuing to catch a bid. Micron is catching a little bit of a bid here. Things that are strong off of the open, Alphabet is still holding its highs as well. So let's take a quick look at Alphabet. Wow, Bitcoin's actually looking like it might tick a little bit higher here, trading at 95.5. So let's wait and see if that actually comes into fruition there. And what was I looking at? Oh yeah, Google right here. You can see that it's holding up quite well, kind of the strongest of the bunch here as it holds its VWAP. So a little bit of a double bottom action here on VWAP. Oh boy, okay, so 167s might be a place to watch this Google here if it can come back in. But again, holding up very well. It seems like the bid is sitting at that VWAP, as the last couple of times it did come back in there. It did catch a bit of a push back to the upside. So 167.32s is where that VWAP is sitting. We're trading 167.50s. It is coming right back in. So let's see if that VWAP continues to act as a bit of a support here on Google. Again, it is the strongest of the bunch. If we take a look at Softy, very different action here, trading in or at near the lows right here on Softy. Again, Apple as well, taking a nice little pullback, almost reverted about 100% of its move, trading much below its levels here. Amazon trading near day lows right here. So oh boy, that was a reversion I definitely missed off of that 201, 202 area here on Amazon. And now, of course, everyone knows Nvidia is also hella weak, trading near its day lows as well. We got to see. These large caps are not doing too much right now, but let's go see with Adara what these small caps are up to. What's up?
Lots of small caps to keep an eye on here. We have the IWM up. This is the Russell 2000. As you can see here, next support around that mid 241 areas, 241.50 in the pre-market. We bounce off that level. As of right now, we're up about 2%, near day's highs, just above that 243 level. So Russell 2000 continues to be very strong and very directional. Lots of small caps pretty directional here too, including QMCO. This is Quantum Corp, one of many quantum names running right now. We have RGTI, QUBT, also on watch. ARQQ was warning a little bit earlier as well. For QMCO, we have a market cap of around 130 million as of this most recent rally. We also have a float of about 4 million shares and a short float of 18.3%. Next up here is Office Property Income, OPI. This one is an income trust. They have a market cap of about $90 million with a 9.3% short float, announcing here that they've entered this private exchange agreement with a couple note holders with regards to 2025 debt maturity. So OPI on watch as well. Last but not least, KODK. This one kind of consolidating right now near day's highs, but it's up about 22% here, announcing that their retirement income trust here has sold $764 million in liquid assets to MasterCard Foundation. They're also going to be selling some other assets to some other groups. So KODK here with about a 7% short float and a $513 million market cap, also on the upside, guys.
It is small cap season for sure. I mean, hey, if Rivian's going to be up 11.5%, yay, because the stock is stunk. And if you've owned it for a while, then you know it's stunk. But the 11.5% Rivian at almost $11.50. If you can come to my chart, I think that's what there we go. So you're going to make a breakout on the daily. I mean, forget about the 50 period on the daily. Who cares? You're now trend up on Rivian. I'm just going to quickly double check. We have free locates on this. We do. Just double checking. It is a possible mean reversion candidate if it gets to that $12 level. I do like it. Remember Apple? We're trying to be patient about this, where it's catching a bid. Well, there's a rejection candle off of that pre-market low, pre-market breakout, a breakout level, and now you're starting to hold above it. So the next step would be to actually claw above VWAP, which it can't seem to do because jinx. Just jinxed it, and here comes a pullback on SMCI. Needed a new strategy. Obviously, you've got some support between 37.5, 38. It's not pulling back into VWAP or our original entry price at the quarters. So just looking for wherever the dip does come. If I get some kind of a rejection candle like this to give me an entry, or just one of these bottom tail candles that can hold green, I'm going to buy the dip on SMCI once we can get a curl. Obviously, this one is relatively strong, so once it sets up for another long, I'm going to go back into it. Sava has been essentially just a $4 play. Well, it's gone underneath $4 again and is trying to break back above 4. So if it breaks back above 4, I'm just going to take it again. So once that Sava is above 4, we're taking the breakout. The last time it could not get past, well, last couple times, couldn't get past 440 with any juice. So really, you're looking for the scalp trade into 440. But one more time, Sava looks like it wants to break that 4. Let's go back to Adara.
That's really strong here. Near day's highs here for coals. No catalyst, but they do report earnings before the bell tomorrow. So KSS will be on watch with about a 32.5% short float. So notable short float. This is another stock that gets a lot of retail attention as well. So keep an eye out, guys.
All right. Speaking of retail, my goodness. Talk about it being a delayed reaction on Macy's. Yeah, we're not going to come out with our earnings. Stock decides to just bounce 15 to 16.30, and then at the open, it just dumps. So bit of a delayed reaction, as I said there, on M. But SMCI, as I said, we're going to be patient. We like the look here. The fact that it's strong, it's still not really giving you the bid yet, but as long as it can hold on to 37, 37 quarters, even the 38 level, we want that rounded bottom here on SMCI. Like everything about it, it just seems like if it was able to do this for a couple of days in a row, I need to be convinced that it's a short now. Yeah, double top at 39, but if I'm going to reload something, why not have it be this, which looks like it's relatively strong for sure. I know they're also watching some Apple and some Tesla as well. Tesla catching a little bit of a bid. That's starting to look pretty good on Tesla. Catching a bid off that 350 level. Finally.
Wow, look at that stacked offer on Sava there. So
I'm taking the break.
About 5, 6, well, probably more than that. I think it was like 600, over 600 lots. There's a couple guys stacked with a 200 lot there. Look at that Memex coming in at that 250. So interesting stuff here on Cassava happening. But something that is very, very strong on the day, looking distinctly different from both the Spider and the ES, is the Russell here on the day. So Russell trading even higher as of right now. So it seems like its constituents are doing quite well as of right now. And again, I don't know what the exact specific breakdown for IWM is, but I will just check right now. So we can just take a quick look at what the constituents on the IWM are right here. So let's see. So in terms of percent holdings, let's see. So it seems like FTAI, SFM. So some of these names I'm not really too familiar with. MLI, interesting. Okay, so I guess I want to take a look at some of these names here and see what is going on. So we can run through some of those names just to see which one of these constituents maybe have a potential opportunity as IWM rips up to the upside. Seems like VWAP reclaiming high a day double top at 243 came in real nice. We're trading to just shy of 244s as of right now. So let's take a quick look at FTAI Aviation here as well. Not really doing, okay, that's doing nothing. Am I looking at the right thing? SFM, nothing too crazy. PCVX, all these things seem like they're doing absolutely no volume. INSM, what's this right here? Okay, so maybe this one is taking up a little bit there. So ENSG, all right, interesting. So I guess IWM, so again, I'm not really familiar. I don't really trade IWM very often. But it seems like a lot of those constituents were weighted in and around the same as well, pretty lightly on the ticker. So let's see what else is moving. People in the chat.
Sava
Leo
broke that 4.
saying Hood going for VWAP. Sava broke the 4. Yeah, so it finally broke that size at 4 incoming. So let's see if the bid kind of pushes it up. VWAP again sitting here at that 460. We never really could quite get there right now. But like I said in the pre-market, there was a lot of volume that was churning in and around that 4. And off of the open with that aggressive selling and no real follow through to either side, it just seems like this is the area where I guess a lot of participants feel like it's a good price there as of right now. But yeah, Hood back into VWAP. 3860s is that VWAP right now. Take a look at that. Nice little beautiful bid.
Oh, but there's a
all the way
bounce
back
in
to
Bitcoin happening.
What's
here.
happening?
So,
Bitcoin
well,
bounce?
first things first, remember that bottom tail candle in Apple underneath 232? It then held a consolidation, so I went into the long. We're stopping at the fresh low. Sava did do another scalp trade off the $4 level, but if you're watching Bitcoin, there was a nice little bounce. The real bounce was in MSTR, but if you look at this bottoming tail candle, you're now trending back up on BTC. And MSTR, Mara, the whole loot, back into VWAP on MSTR. Although it's losing it right now, Mara holding above VWAP. So this is the one. It never set up. Look, it didn't break out. Obviously, with the crypto names pulling back in, it never gave you any kind of support at any of the levels that I would have looked at. But hey, now if you can hold on to VWAP, this would at least be something. So I have my eyes on Mara out of the group. If Bitcoin can try to make that run back up, I do like it. As mentioned, Sava broke $4. Yeah, I just keep having to zoom out and back in because of the gap fill on this stock. But it broke that $4 level. So there was a consolidation. There was the brick wall at 4. I got long at 01s, already scalping into 10s. I have offers a little more aggressive here into the 430. If it's only going to be a scalp trade on Sava and you're going to trade it from 401 to 430, then you might as well just take the profit. If it's not going to do something insane and go to like $6 or $7, then you just got to take the trade that's out in front of you. So once again, we're into the $4 level, but this time we just take a few more shares and we're more aggressive scalping it, as opposed to trying to hold it for the initial move, 20 pennies, just take more shares and then scalp it inside the range. Effectively the same kind of thing, just a different approach. SMCI is still not really setting me up for that long. We're being very patient about this, but it might actually get to VWAP this time. You know, it just feels as if maybe it's not as strong on this recent bounce and we could get right back into our original entry price off of that 37, which I'm willing to do. No, there's nothing wrong with being patient. And speaking of that bounce in crypto, hey, let's go to Adara for our crypto segment.
Look at MSTR here pushing nicely above that 417, 418 area. This is a bit of a area of resistance here right off the open. Now we're coming right back up here on the 3-minute chart, though we're still slightly negative on the day, more or less flat. MSTR announcing that they purchased $5.4 billion worth of Bitcoin. This is a record purchase for the company of Bitcoin. This is actually their third major Bitcoin purchase announced this month as well. So basically here they purchased 55,000 tokens from November 18th to November 24th. This is according to an SEC filing. So pretty massive filing on watch here for MSTR purchasing even more Bitcoin. We have Bitcoin itself here on watch, trying to hold on to this 96,000 level. Looks like day's low here was just below 95K. It is worth noting we still have not yet passed that 100,000 mark. We nudged against it on Friday, drifted a little bit lower over the weekend. Let's see if we're able to finally surpass this level. Some people are saying, see if this happens before Thanksgiving, but either way, we're still have that 100,000 level within reach. Ethereum nice on the day here, up about 4.5% and trading around that 34.50 level. So good look for ETH. XRP also strong. We know Ripple benefited well last week when Gary Gensler announced that he would be resigning as SEC chair. So great look for XRP. Avalanche nicely up here as well, about 12% to the upside. Cardano up about 4%. Some of the laggards here include Solana down about 1.5%. BNB down about 0.5% as well, guys.
Thank you very much there, Adara. Oh, Apple was there. It was holding above VWAP only so briefly, but really that 232 level might be the more important thing if it can hold the even dollar. Just like I said, it did the bottoming tail candle, then held a higher low. It was about 231.80 or so. I jumped in, actually got 89s, not 90s. It got to the quarter mark, took some profit, and now you're right back into the bottom. Don't necessarily love it at this point because we've taken profit. If it takes a low, it'll be a flat trade and we just got to jump out of it. Not as strong as we would have liked off of VWAP there, but then, hey, look what the NASDAQ is doing. You know, you bounce, you get right into the pre-market. I mean, what do you want? Like in an uptrend, you want prior highs to hold. In a downtrend, what you really want there is you want prior support to hold as resistance, and that's what just happened on the NASDAQ. So you got to be able to scalp trades out, take the profit that you can, because really we're stair-step down in the market. And even since that breakout, I mean, if you ignore this move in here, which you can't necessarily do, but you know, you're still trending down. I like the little bit of a rounded bottom. We got to take some profit out. And if it makes a fresh low, we got to jump out of the way of this bad boy. Obviously, you know, Sava's its own beast. It doesn't care what the market is doing, but I want to keep my eyeballs on the overall market for some of the other plays. SMCI still trying to hold a bit of a low here. I don't know that I don't love the setup yet to get back into the long, not with the market looking weak. I think I just still have to play the patience game. This is not convincing enough for me to jump back into SMCI as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you're not really getting the push and the buying that I'd like to see off of this level. So for now, it just looks like Sava is the one that's going to work. It's almost at that 420 mark, which, whatever, it is what it is. 420 is pretty much always a level on these meme-ish type stocks, but it's also halfway from 4 to 440, where it's been running into resistance every single time. So again, ringing the register a little bit more aggressively into this resistance, because that's what Sava's been. It hasn't been an explosive move where I thought we'd see halts and all that good stuff, but that hasn't happened on Cassava Sciences, so we're just going to take the profit where it lies. And guess what? Ford actually went. Oh my goodness. FA. The heck is FA? Ford breaks out through 1140.
Oh, wow, look at that.
So initial short, I'm just going to show you guys the chart here. We're 1137. We reloaded at 38. We said we're reversing if it broke 1140. Why are we reversing long on Ford, even though it's not a good stock? Well, look at the level on the daily chart. This is held since August. Hey, August 26th. Yeah, that's my wife's birthday. Anyways, August 26th, it's been holding since then, and you've got this mini breakout going on for it. So I'm now long on the break of 40. We reversed from our 38 short into a long trade, and let's see if this bad boy can go. It'd be nice if it could get to, obviously the 200 period moving average sits at 1180. That'd be an ultimate target, but on Ford, every 5 or 10 cents is a profit take because it's an $11 stock, and that's just the nature of how it moves.
Yeah, Neil, Ford I think is a great look, but we were talking about GM in the pre-market as well.
No, probably better.
And
probably better.
Oh boy, I was in this ticker going into the close on Friday again. Was looking for a short going into the close right here. Didn't quite work out as it held this downtrend, but we were trading much above those prior day's highs here coming into the open. A little bit of a crumble right there in the pre-market. Not really doing too much volume, but again, earnings day 2. Was it earnings day 2? No, sorry, not earnings day 2. Correction. They had a strong bid off of some potential catalysts there on Friday, and we get that continuation off of the open. We come back into some of those prior day highs right there. That prior day high being at 58.98, and this opening range low being at 58.91. So within a 10-penny range of prior day's highs and a strong bounce, reclaim of that VWAP. And that hold for a strong trend to the upside. That continuation on GM, man, that's coming in real hot as of right now. So yeah, 60 halves is trading here on GM right now, Neil. So yeah, that's definitely a good look. Market's coming right back into the downside. So I get stopped out once again here on this Tesla. Oh boy. Got to be more patient for this one.
If you want to be patient and find opportunities out in the markets, you need something which is going to connect you to the markets in a way that is like no other, and that is eSignal. A charting platform, they're your eyes and windows to stock market trading. So whether it's finding new opportunities with scanners, whether it's taking ideas that you already have and back testing them, the array of tools that you have available at eSignal is vast, and it's perfect for an active trader. We're talking about reliability. The market's open and you need data, then you know eSignal is going to be there for you. And as far as as far as charts that change the game, I can simply tell you that almost all advanced traders I know that have been on this floor, if they look for a step up, this is the place they're going. You also have the ability to code through the API if you want to. So people have automated strategies, which we've done on this floor sometimes through eSignal. Big shout out to them. Scan the QR code that you see right there. Check the link in the description. And if you want to step up your game, go ahead and do that. And you might have found something like HIMS through a scanner. It's back into VWAP. I know a lot of people are trading this bad boy. And I just wanted to quickly point out here, one of the reasons why I didn't necessarily jump over to this with gusto, $30 on HIMS, that's the ish, is the best way to think about this. If this can get through 30, that's a breakout level. It's kind of rolling into overhead resistance at this $30 level. So if you didn't have the early break, I feel like it almost would have been a mean reversion through 30, or like a consolidate this puppy and then break it out through 30. Like, give it some time to work. So I do feel like that one's running into a bit of overhead resistance. I want to check back in on what we do have. Apple still trying to hold above VWAP. There has not been a close on my 3-minute above VWAP since we got in. It's now threatening to do that, which I do love. We already talked about Sava and Ford. The other name, I hate to tell you, like, it's frustrating. What is at least happening here on Tesla is you're getting a bit of a double bottom at 348. Now, I was only in at the one time off that prior high hold. But suddenly, you're now into the next. I didn't think we'd get to this level. I didn't bother writing anything down about 347. I didn't think we'd get here. But here's 347 on Tesla. It's a pretty obvious level when you zoom out to 15. There's a decent chance that it doesn't get there, and this is the low right here off of that same prior high. So we went long off a prior high once. Now I'm looking long off this prior high again at 347. It'll have to be more of a mean reversion setup, I'm thinking, which it's possibly doing right in here, right about now. It's got to break the trend down. So this little trend since underneath VWAP is what I'm looking at, because it would have already broken this trend here. So it needs to close above this trend line, and then I take a second shot at Tesla to the long side. Fortunate enough to be 1-for-1 through some patience, but it's now finally setting up a second time for myself here on TSL to the A.
Yeah, Neil, I like that. I actually got stopped out on that flush below, and yeah, that break a trend. For me, the way I kind of drew my trend line, it already had started to break a little bit on this sideways consolidation, but no real reversion coming in yet. That strength, that volume, potentially only, I guess, starting on that prior 3-minute candle as of right now, as we push back above, back up. Off of that prior day low, couldn't quite get to that prior day low right there. That prior day low sitting at 47.66. This prior low just now in the 3-minute candle we made at 75. So let's see if that can potentially come in. But again, I keep taking stabs at this one. I like the 350 level, but this could take a lot longer than I'm willing to spend on this, or it could not happen at all, right? So the consolidation is good. Let's see if we can get some market tailwind. What's going on, Adara?
Lots of strength in this market. So let's take a time right now to look at some of these names that are a bit weaker, specifically here in the electronic technology sector. NVIDIA here down about 3%. I couldn't find a specific catalyst on this stock, but it's worth noting Amazon, which is doing quite nicely over there in retail trade, is reportedly, according to Bloomberg, ready to launch its Trainium 2 chips. So NVIDIA here, as of course another producer of AI chips, could be moving lower on that. Then we have LMT, Lockheed Martin. The only individual story I saw on this was apparently Elon Musk tweeting poorly about their jets on X. So interesting note there for LMT, also down about 3% this morning. Energy minerals a little bit weaker as well. Then we have Netflix here in technology services to the downside on no apparent catalyst. Now let's talk about some of the strength here in this market. With the exception of Walmart and Costco, retail trade is very strong. Finance looking great here. Non-NVIDIA names in electronic technology are pretty strong here as well. Commercial services, all green. Transportation, health services, consumer non-durables, and health technology all sharply to the upside. Energy minerals a little bit weaker here, and consumer durables has some strength, but Tesla, the weakness in Tesla kind of offsetting a little bit. We also have a bit of mixed performance there in industrial services. So what a day, but generally you're going to see a lot of green on this board, yes.
LMT does that because Elon criticized him. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems a little bit much, but hey, man, he's got the presidency here. You got, like, at the end of the day, price action is price action, and we often as traders we get caught up in the why and wanting to be able to explain things. I'll tell you right now, that'll get you in a whole world of hurt if things need to make rational sense to you all the time. Sometimes it's important that they do, but all the time you'll just drive yourself nuts if you think so. Gonna ring register on Apple's. It just got back to 232.5. So the VWAP hold is now complete. And now, Obi-Wan, your failure is complete. I love that line. My daughter's always asking me to talk in like a Darth Vader voice.
Yes.
Like all the time. She's like, can you read this story as Darth Vader? Can you read this story, Daddy, as sometimes Yoda, which I can't do, which is terrible.
A tough one.
So if anybody has any...
restructure the whole sentence there.
Well, this is actually legit. If anybody has any like resources for where you can learn how to do voices, that would be very helpful for me. She's always trying to get me to do voices. And I have no idea. So like I have a kind of deep voice, so I'm able to do Vader just by accident. But man, some of these other ones are like impossible. Just one quick note here. I violated my entry rule on Tesla.
Oh boy.
So we got to be able to do some things here.
Yes.
I took this long before this bar closed above the trend line, right? So I took it, I put a tight stop in there, got out. It then did what I want and came right back in and slammed back in, so I just took the same trade. However, that was not a very good entry that first time through. So I took some out at 351. If it can't break 352, I'd probably take another leg out. But 353, I think, is the bigger zone of resistance here on Tesla. We already showed you Apple. We already showed you Sava as well, which is actually trying to hold Actually, Sava's trying to hold at 420 a little bit nicer here. Yeah, but Apple going, the market catching a little bit of a bid. My only concern here, now that the longs are starting to go, is that resistance that we had there on the NASDAQ at that pre-market support. So that holds up as resistance, got to take profits on these bad boys. So that's what I'm looking at right here with Tesla, why I want to take another leg out in front of VWAP. And to each their own. Like everyone's a little bit different.
That's an aggressive bid.
That's an aggressive bid. Oh, yeah.
Oh, would you look at that?
There was just an aggressive bid. I'm taking that. Remember we said 53? So we get that push in at 53. We ring the register. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. At the end of the day, if you're going to go counter trend, have an execution plan that allows it to work. And I violated it there, but we jumped right back in. So again, Tesla's been trending down, but if you can have a plan of action that allows you to engage in the wins by being patient, that's what you have to do. Apple, I didn't have the breakout on Apple, relatively strong. Let it set up. Did it set up at VWAP? Nope. What did it hold? Pre-market highs. Dipped in a pre-market high. There's your bottoming tail candle. There's your consolidation. There's your long. There's your stop. You want that complete trade. Oh, the other thing about Apple, which I didn't really show you guys. Sorry about this. I thought I did this, but I didn't actually. I'm going to throw a fail on myself for this. The other part of Apple is it was breaking this trend line, right? So there's your move up. There's your trend line down. There's your bottoming tail candle. There's your resistance to support. There's your entry when it closes above the trend line. To me, that's a complete trade in terms of why am I looking at it? Where am I looking for support? There's my proof that it's holding. There is my trend direction moving. And then there is my entry. And then there is my out. And then easy peasy lemon squeezy. Hopefully we continue heading back into the upside. But make sure you take your profit because the market has not been all that strong.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at GM here, man. Some selling coming in on that GM.
Yeah, you're right.
So I guess I do want to get involved a little bit here. The selling coming in a little bit more aggressively than it had been a little bit earlier. Yeah, the market is starting to change its behavior as well as it attempts to catch a little bit of a bid. Let's see if that bid actually comes in here. But GM, some selling coming in. No real volume on this selling as of right now, so I do want to see a little bit of a crack right here. But you can see, oh boy, I didn't want to do that. Okay, so right here, you can see this trend is attempting to test as of right now. So we did kind of break below it. Oh boy, okay, so here it comes in. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a continuation to the downside here on GM. If the bid I'm looking for a retest and failure to follow through here on GM. But this thing is hella strong. This is day 2 of this move, and this bid didn't really dissipate until in around 12 o'clock, so around noon, and then we caught a bit of a sell going into the rest of the day here. But GM, super strong opening and continues to trend above VWAP, an extension off of VWAP as well. The trend break kind of happening here at 46 is trading 34s as of right now. So let's see if that can potentially come in here. I go getting a little bit involved here. You know what? I would like to give, that's the risk that I want. Okay, cool. Let's see if that can potentially come in here on GM. I'm more than willing to give it a couple of tries there. Yesterday or prior day when I did get short, I was shorted all the way down here, man. The trend broke here. Why am I shorting all the way here? Short when the trend breaks and then give it the proper risk. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, on to the next trade. That's what I got to do a little bit better here. Let's see if we can come into that $60 level at VWAP. Last week, it couldn't really get to VWAP. Buyers were hella strong, and it seems like they were definitely in charge. As coming into today, they've been in charge all morning long here. So as Tesla takes a bit of a curl here and holding that 350 as of right now, let's see if some of these other potential competitors of Tesla can catch a bid as well. So GM, I'm looking for that distinctly different move. I'm looking for that bid to dissipate, and it seems like as of right now, it may be starting to right here. I want to see that volume confirmation potentially come in as well on this name before I get a little bit more aggressive with this short. So yeah, a bit of a trend break happening here, Neil. Let's see if that can potentially come in. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Sava still trading a little bit higher as of right now. So
it's trying,
that LMT is
man.
Nice as well. I like that.
Look, Sava is doing everything it can to, hey, what up, Sharif? It's doing everything it can to prove me wrong about this scalping from $4 to $4.30. So, I mean, at this point, I've pretty much taken just about everything out. I'm holding on to the last 5%, which if it goes to $5 is going to look like an incredibly idiotic decision. But it just based on what's been happening, like at the open, this is it's a hard look on a 3-minute chart, which I do like. It broke out above 420, got to 450. I had a stop underneath 4, like that's a flat trade. And then it broke back above 4, held 440, rolled over. I said, if it does it again, breaking 4, scalp that sucker into this level because it doesn't seem to want to go. So my guess is because I'm all out now, or almost all out, it's probably going to break 440 and head into VWAP nicely. But, you know, that initial entry, which Obi has at 377, oh, I can't zoom too far out, otherwise it's kind of messed up. No, that initial bounce in here, that's kind of what you need to have. Like this bottoming tail candle, this is held the entire time at about 375. The $4 trade's just more of a scalp trade. By the way, NVIDIA, higher lows, all green on the 3-minute.
Bit of a turn.
Apple's continuing to work in here. All the longs we're in are working. Now, I did, when we took the trade in Tesla off the bottom there at 350 and an Apple off of just underneath VWAP, I did prioritize that and obviously missed out on SMCI at VWAP as well. So SMCI did bounce off VWAP and looking pretty good. I just elected for the other longs, which are now both working. Tesla did pull back. It hasn't gotten to VWAP itself, but we already grabbed profit at 51 and then at 52.8. Now I'm looking for the out in front of VWAP on Tesla. I'm not thinking home run here. This is not Friday. I'm thinking VWAP and get the you-know-what out of Dodge as we go to the desk with Adara.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
So, yeah, no, I think lots of opportunities. So are you ready to put your trading skills to the test? Trade the Pool. Join us for Trade the Pool and the Trader TV stock trading competition. We've got some exciting prizes lined up, including a massive 160,000 extra buying power evaluation for first place. The first 20 places win. The competition kicks off on December 2nd and runs through December 6th, with winners announced on December 9th. This competition is your opportunity to push your limits and see how far your skills can take you. Mark your calendars and click the link in the description, guys. Trade the Pool. So, yeah, no, trading money talks is what we're doing now.
What we're going to do here is take a look at the U.S. dollar. Before we do that, though, I want to mention a story just coming out here from the EPA. This is the Environmental Protection Agency. According to a report from the EPA seen by Reuters, we have some comments here in TSLA and GM. So apparently Tesla earning 33.9 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emission credits during the 2023 year. Tesla apparently selling some credits and GM purchasing credits in 2023. So this is according to an EPA report. Just keep an eye on those tickers with that in mind. Now we have to talk about the DXY, looking kind of bearish for the first time since probably the end of September. We had a pretty massive topping tail candle here on Friday to end the week. Then we opened this morning here dropping from 107.5 to 106.8 here, where we're currently trading at lows. We got to around 106.55. So DXY here, what's moving this to the downside? From what I'm seeing here, this could be related to President-elect Trump's pick for Treasury secretaries. This is the role that is currently filled by Janet Yellen. Looks like Donald Trump has tapped the hedge fund manager Scott Bessent for the role. This is actually viewed as a positive for stocks because Scott Bessent is viewed as probably having a bit of a mitigating effect, calming effect on some of Trump's fiscal policies. However, this calming effect also has a bit of a negative look from what I can see here on the DXY, and also pushing yields to the downside. 10-year Treasury yields apparently at their lowest level since mid-November. So potential reason for this move to the downside on a day that's pretty light in economic data. But we'll have some more economic data later in the week. A lot of this is going to be very condensed because of our shortened trading week, thanks to U.S. Thanksgiving. We have new home sales coming through at 10 a.m. tomorrow. We also have the housing price index a little bit before that. Then on Wednesday, we're going to get so much economic data, starting with initial jobless claims at 8:30 a.m., as well as preliminary GDP. This could be the second estimate there for GDP and PCE. So stay tuned for Wednesday morning. We're going to basically get all of our week of economic data at one time there at 8:30 a.m. Let's keep an eye on, guys.
Thank you for that.
I'm telling you, these holiday shortened weeks, you do not sleep on the Wednesday trading. And we've talked about this before. Everyone's like, oh, but it's a holiday shortened week. Everyone wants to get the jump on Black Friday sales, which, I mean, heck, they were sending stuff last week, as Sharif already mentioned. Everyone's already been getting deals in their email. But on that Wednesday, sometimes you get really good opportunities, especially off the open, because there's a little bit less liquidity, so the really good trades can run just a little teensy bit more than they normally would. The problem with all the longs, which are working right now, is I keep talking about this level on the NASDAQ, that support overnight over the weekend, and then turning into resistance here, just underneath 20,950. You're rolling back underneath it. It's going to be a hesitation here to reload until we get back into support. NASDAQ bounces off support. I'd look for reloads either where we got it on Apple or maybe into VWAP. That's going to hold true. With Tesla's actually already bouncing off of 350, so I think this one looks pretty good. But if it loses 350, that's an easy out, and we still want VWAP there. Ford is going sideways after the breakout, which is fine. So we shorted back into support, reversed into a long. It's kind of consolidating here, which I don't necessarily mind. But if we lose VWAP, I got to jump out of that one. So Sava's doing its own thing. That's still holding in the money. And I just pointed this one out to Obi. Mara is off. And I was thinking mean reversion on Mara, and then I remembered, no, Neil, Mara is breaking out on the daily chart with a ton of room to the upside here. Now, this one is not something that I should be thinking short on. It's like, if it is remotely close to 27, then I should be thinking longs on Mara. Well, it didn't look like a long at the open. Does it look like one now, everybody? That's a rhetorical question. I want to look longs back into 27 in VWAP, maybe even pre-market highs. This is trending up. You looked at that daily chart, it's room to 31 bucks. This is not a let's look for short opportunities. If it was at 30 to 31, I'd be thinking mean revert. But up here, I wanted to set up some kind of a patient long entry for me. So Apple pulling back, we'll be patient about our reload. Tesla, come on, bust this 253 so I can get out of Dodge here and grab my 354s and get out of here. Because I feel as if you're stealing if you're getting away with longs on Tesla, which we have been today. Going to go 2 for 3 ideally on Tesla, unless I do something else and muck that one up later.
Yeah, I'm kind of just staring down these 3 tickers that I am in right now: GM, Sava, and Tesla. So remember the good old days on Sava, and it would give. I mean, after it finished doing its crazy euphoria moves, it would give some beautiful backside moves, multi-day shorts there on Cassava Sciences, and I guess all of that move came in overnight with some strong distinction to the downside as of right now. So oh boy, so market taking a strong flush here once again here. So let's see, I got to keep an eye on Tesla. I think the Tesla, I guess that's with what I'm looking for on GM, not what I'm looking for on Tesla here. So let's see if Tesla maintains a little bit of that bid hold there. Oh boy, LMT I'm watching that one as well, as it was pointed out a little earlier right there, it continuing to the downside. So let's see. I'm going to wait for some of these sellers to step off, but it seems like there's no real sign as that volume is expanding as we get lower and lower here on LMT. So maybe we got to be a little bit more patient to see if that can even come in on the day today. But aggressive selling, again, doing in and around 1.5 to 2 times relative volume there on Lockheed Martin. Okay, so it seems like GM might be catching a little bit of a bid here. Let's see if the market catches a bid. We've been catching a bid in and around these areas here, 20,880s here, and just above 6,000 here on the ES. Let's see if we continue to catch a bid, or do we sell off a little bit more going into the midday session as of right now. So nothing too crazy as of right now. David in the chat talking about Google is at VWAP. What's Google up to right here? Did Google get all the way down to VWAP? Yes. Thank you for the reminder. We said earlier that the place that Google has been finding a bid all day was off the open through that VWAP. Pullback on that VWAP. Pullback on that VWAP. And once again, we're back at VWAP. So let's see if that bid kind of comes back in here at VWAP, or is that not the case anymore? But thank you in the chat, David, for pointing that out. I'm going to pull that one up. I need more screens, man. I need more screens. I need more tape. I got to be watching.
Do you, though? We got enough screens. Come on. 4 screens is enough, Obi.
I like.
It's a year of efficiency.
It depends on resolution, right? If we had like, some 8K screens, I'm more than fine with 2 big screens, right? But this is, I guess I need some more workspace is all I'm saying.
See, me at first, we were just talking about screens and workspace, and you were down here for a second, and then we're like, you need more screens, and you went to here. Then you talk about 8K and resolution. You took it to a whole nother level there. What up, Randy?
Yo, what's up, Randy?
Randy,
is that a pear?
we only have 1 minute to go. You have to see a chart.
Is that a pear or an apple?
That's a prapple.
That's an apple, dude. The golden apple.
It's a prapple.
It's not a pear. It's a golden apple. I mean, come on.
Hybrid? It's an EV apple. It's an electric apple, sorry.
First of all, if it's a pear, it's a mutant if it's a pear.
It means asking if it's a kiwi.
It's round.
It's not fuzzy.
It's round. Pears aren't round. End of story.
Wow, look at Rivian. Look at that thing go.
Who told you? Who's that handsome gentleman who was always saying Rivian's gonna bounce off that $10 level? I'll give you a hint. He's wearing glasses, and for whatever reason, he's in short sleeves and a toque. So I don't know what's up with that, but I do know Rivian's up 15%. So shout out to Randy, who has been the voice of reason. Ooh, and Ramin's saying she has a Rivian test. Is that today, Ramin?
Oh, nice.
Ramin is test driving a Rivian today. That's why we are up 15%. Because
people know
that is a pear.
It's a pear. Ah.
Hell out of here.
That is definitely pear. That is pear consistency.
That's a weird pear, man. I'm just saying they can't turn.
It definitely on the
look like a golden apple.
I've never seen an apple like that.
Yeah, I have. You never seen one? I have.
Well, even golden apples, they're not like.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, it's a pear.
I was wrong about that. That's for damn sure.
It's got like I don't know what they're called. They're not really they're like the spots that pears have on the.
Yeah, that's.
It had that. And I'm like, I've never seen an apple that had that. Oh,
okay, so it's 11 o'clock, but I got to quickly, look, I'm out of Tesla. I'm going to show you guys. It shouldn't be a surprise why, but since the low, let me redraw this because this is going to look like it's trash. I can draw a better trend line than that. So since the low on Tesla, there it is since the bottom. It tried to press into VWAP. There's your rejection of 53, which was second target. You then closed underneath that trend. So I'm out. That's how we trail it. We got in because it broke a trend. We get out and take profit because it broke the trend once again. So Tesla will walk away, thankfully taking profit on that last little bit of $1.25 on that. But our best out was at that 53 spot. Still barely into Apple, but that could lose support as well. You got to be able to take the profit where it lies, everybody. That's been the kind of morning it is for those long trades. If you're not willing to take profit, you've been in some pain. But you know what? Sit back and relax, because while we're back at 2 o'clock, right now, we get to throw it on over to the Bash Brothers. We've got Joe. We've got Sharif. They're both looking awfully sharp. No one told me it was like wear white day, apparently. Let's get on over to the midday. We've got Sharif and Joseph. Go get them.
Guys.
Where's our intro, Ram? There we go.
Woo,
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That's your boy, Joey Dang Options. And I'm Sharif, and we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other chat. Joseph, we already have George, the early bird, shout out to Adara, and the world's greatest mod, Bears versus Bulls, reposting a super chat. Shout out to Rohit Sharma for the $5.